From Relay, welcome to the 12th Annual Upgradies, simulcast from London, England and Mill Valley, California. This broadcast is brought to you by Sentry, Ecamm and Fitbod. My name is Mike Hurley and I am honored to be joined by my esteemed co-host and master of ceremonies, Jason Snell. Hi, Jason Snell.
Hi, Mike Hurley. It is good to finally get the ceremonies in line. They were out of line. They were causing trouble.
Yeah,
but I've gotten them back in line, as is my job as the master of ceremonies. So
this is what we rely on you for.
Ceremonies lined up. We're gonna fly right here. It's the Upgradies again, 12th annual. Remember,
unbelievable.
I like to think of it as the 11th anniversary of the first annual Upgradies.
Yep. I think about this often. Whenever I hear somebody say first annual, because you hear it, and then someone inevitably goes, "You can't say that." I think
you can't say that.
You absolutely can. You absolutely can.
You can. You're just wrong. You can say it. You did say it.
12 years later, here we are. 12 years later, here we are.
You're proven right.
I knew this was going to be a success. I knew it was. The Upgradies are the award show where we get to crown our favorite things of the year in a wide variety of categories, from media to hardware to stories of the year. You can find a history of previous winners over at upgradies.com. And in the show notes of this episode, there are appropriate links to all of the nominees. So I guess spoilers for the show notes. People ask for this every year, so I've gone through and taken care of that for you. The way that the Upgradies works is Jason and I will be sharing our personal nominations where we have them for each category. We'll also share the top 3 nominations as voted for by our listeners, and you'll get to hear us then, between the two of us, deliberate who we think deserves the trophy of the year. And also, as a reminder, for a category that you can only win on an app or a podcast or whatever, can only win a category a maximum of 3 times, and then that winner will be raised into the rafters and given a lifetime put up there,
upgraded to the Hall of Fame. Really,
they're up
when you
there.
think about it,
lifetime achievement. Hall of Fame is a different thing.
Oh, you're right. Upgraded to the lifetime achievement.
We do this all the time. The Hall of Fame is something that we honor every 10 years.
That's a ridiculous. So we had our first decadal Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
A couple years ago.
I was thinking about this today. Of like,
maybe it'll be 5 years. Maybe we'll do a round in 5 years.
It might actually. That's actually a good idea. We'll see. But if every 5 or 10 years, we take a look at all of the previous winners, and then we decide who gets to be put into the Hall of Fame. But Lifetime Achievement Award is what you get, and if you're a Lifetime Achievement Award winner, you are forever mentioned in the category in which you've won. So it's a little nod to you, but it's so we won't have, ATP win forever. Basically, this is the ATP rule. That was why it was instituted, and now everybody else benefits.
Mm-hmm.
Before we get into the first categories, I would like to mention this is the absolute last call to get 20% off an annual plan of Upgrade Plus. So you can get for just $56 a year, longer ad-free episodes. You'll be helping to support the show. If you're listening to this episode and you're enjoying it, you're an Upgradian, and you absolutely should become an Upgrade Plus subscriber, because you're in with us now. You're in it. You get it. If you like this, you'll definitely like Upgrade Plus. It's an additional bonus topic every week. It's always a good fun time, and you don't have to have any interruptions in your listening. But yes, with the code 2025 holidays at checkout at getupgradeplus.com, this will only be available until the end of the year. So if you're listening to this and you've yet to sign up, then please go and do that, and you'll be helping to support the show too. Thank you so much to everybody that does. Shall we get on with the first category, Jason?
Yeah, before we do, I have a little disclaimer I want to make here. I just want to make this clear to people.
Mm-hmm.
While other podcasts and websites in our sphere have decided that they're going to manufacture trophies and mail them out to people, we don't.
No.
Just to be clear,
considered it.
If you're a winner,
do
not wait by the mailbox for your trophy.
Well, if you are
exist.
a winner and you would like a digital trophy, I can send you artwork and assets for your heart's content if you want to display it on your website, as many people have. The reason that we don't do trophies is because we don't just award like indie apps. We're also awarding like best movie of the year, and I don't think
and best
Warner
movie.
Brothers,
We don't send a Lucite slab to the winner of the best book that I pick every year. We could.
We could, especially if Dan Moran wins. I know that Dan will take the award. Like
he's going to be in the Hall of Fame, Runners-Up Hall of Fame. That's where he's going to end up.
Poor Dad. Did we put him in the Hall of Fame? I don't remember.
No, because he never wins. He's only always a runner-up. I do want to say, I want to shout out Rogue Amoeba, because if you scroll down to the bottom of the Audio Hijack page, and this was something that we may have actually helped instigate with Paul Kafasis at Rogue Amoeba, but it says what people are saying about Audio Hijack, and the first one is 3-time best Mac app winner, enshrined in the lifetime achievement section with a big logo.
Yep,
we love to see it. If you want to do that, we'll happy to provide. I'm just saying.
I provided some of these assets
trophy,
so that could be done.
Yeah,
that the little reef one is on there. Yeah, so like, and there's many people. I think Casey has put it on the core sheet. Website.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true. And also,
many people have used it.
Official Keeper and Upgradies historian Zoe Knox points out that Dan Morin did win for the Caledonian Gambit, his first novel. So, way back in 2017.
I didn't have my spreadsheet open enough to see that way back in 2017.
The spreadsheet is so large now because we've been doing it so long.
Spreadsheet's too big.
All right, now I'm ready.
Spreadsheet can be helpful, but it's a big old spreadsheet. So we get into our first category, which is the best overall iOS app. So we have a Newcomer iOS app that we'll talk about in a little bit.
Yep.
There are 2 Lifetime Achievement Award winners of this category, so we would like to recognize both Overcast and Flighty, 2 apps that continue to get lots of great updates year after year. So they are definitely 2 of my favorite and most used apps.
I would still pick them if I could. I honestly... Every time I traveled a lot this year, as I know from my Flighty passport that I received, and I rely on Flighty more and more as time goes on. So
this is the least I have flown since I started using Flighty this year.
Interesting.
I flew more in 2020 than I did in this year.
Wow.
How about that? Yeah.
At
the beginning of 2020, we were going all over the place. Like, we had some family stuff going on. We also went on a California vacation. We had a great time.
So for me, 34 flights, 4 days of flight time, almost 39,000 miles. A lot.
Now, I will say, you said you would recognize it. You actually did put it in the document, so you put Flighty in there. Yeah.
Well, you didn't have the lifetimes in there, and so I figured we would get there when we got there.
And so Jason did want to award Flighty again.
Again, why not?
Why not? I tell you why not. Because that's the rules. That's why not. Yeah. So, Jason, what do you have as your nominations, your personal nominations for the best iOS app this year?
You know, I struggle with this because every year we do this, and I struggle with it because the fact is I find these apps that I really rely on, and like Flighty and Overcast, and I stick with them.
Of course.
I'm a committer, Mike. I say that because, and people don't need to know this, but they can figure it out from the fact that, for example, this is episode 596, that The Incomparable is at episode 798. I've been married for 31 years. I've lived in the same house since 1999. Wow. I'm a committer. I commit, and when I'm in all the way. And the problem with that is I'm not of a mindset. I will try things, but to integrate something into my core workflow, it's a high bar because I've done a lot of optimization and it's a high bar. So it is hard for me with, I'm not somebody, I admire the Mac Stories folks that they do here's 15 different weird apps that I tried this year. I'll sign up for a test flight. I'll try stuff. I'm just saying it's a tough nut to crack.
Yeah.
And iOS has become increasingly more so because as the platform has aged, I have optimized even further. I would love to have a revelation about a different text editor for my iPad than the one I'm using now, but it hasn't happened yet. I've tried. So anyway, this is me lamenting the state of my ability to give awards in app categories before we start the app category. Mike, I'm glad you asked.
Multiple recommendations.
Overcast and Flighty are off the board. So, okay, I've got 2. One is Final Cut Camera, which we relied on a couple of times this year.
Yep.
And it's on the iPhone. It turns the iPhone, you can use it in a bunch of different ways, and it is like a camera app, but it is also the remote for Apple's pretty cool Final Cut for iPad remote camera capture feature that I like a lot. I don't know why it isn't supported on the Mac too, but it's not. I don't know. There are a lot of mysteries about Final Cut, but I'm not nominating Final Cut for iPad here. I'm nominating Final Cut Camera, which I was just very impressed with its performance. We used it a lot. That's an app I hadn't really used before, and it's not grandfathered in this category, so I'm going to say Final Cut Camera. And then the other one that I wanted to mention is Call Sheet. I mean, I know it's by our friend Casey Liss, and therefore we are, we don't recuse ourselves. We'll pick, we'll give our friends awards if we want to.
Yeah,
but
Call Sheet won Best Newcomer in 2023.
But here's the truth of it is, I just use Call Sheet all the time. I mean, it's true. I use it all the time, and Lauren uses it all the time. And to look up, we were just doing last night. We're literally like. What we watched, Wake Up Dead Man,
okay,
which was great, and the main actor in that, we're like, where have we seen him before? And Lauren took it further. She's like, well, it's Prince Charles from The Crown, but where else have we seen him? And it's like, to the Call Sheet, right? Like that is where you go. Turns out where we'd seen him recently was in the trailer for the new Steven Spielberg movie. That's where we saw him recently. It's like, in an upcoming. Anyway, so Call Sheet absolutely is one of mine. What do you have?
Well, I would just say I love and use Call Sheet all the time, and I do just want to echo Final Cut Camera. That is a stunningly impressive piece of software. Like what that is doing to do the multicam stuff feels like it would be incredibly complicated, and it's absolutely fascinating that it is able to do what it is doing in the way it is doing it. I think that is really interesting and a really cool piece of software. My nomination is Mango Baby. So Mango Baby is a baby tracking application, of which there are many available.
Find My Baby?
Yes, Find My Baby. Where's my baby?
Where's the baby? Track the baby now.
Track the baby. Where's the baby?
It's not. It's like tracking the behaviors of your baby, right? You're not actually tracking your baby.
Sleep,
you should know where your baby is at all
bottles,
times.
Medication, all this kind of stuff, right?
Good.
This is a thing that basically many new, I won't say all, but many new parents do now. Like they have some kind of app and they're tracking something, and different parents track to different degrees. There are lots of apps available, and most of the apps that exist are really expensive subscriptions, like that are very surprising to me. Like we've tried out some apps that are £10-20 a month, which is just, it's a lot of money for an iPhone app. Like I just think that's a lot of money for an iPhone app.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of the times these apps are priced this way because they know parents are desperate and they hope that the sleep tracking app will help them get their baby to sleep. Mango Baby is simple in that it is not trying to do anything predictive or anything like that. You are just tracking the things that have happened. But it is I believe it's a subscription app, but it's a yearly subscription and it's very fairly priced. I love that it allows you to sync with iCloud between multiple parents, which is also great. Jason, some of the apps that I've used, they're like, yes, you can use with multiple parents. Just share the login. It's like that's not what we're doing here. Like let's try and find a system to sync this information between two people. But it is an indie app made by an indie developer, so it looks great, acts great, has shortcuts. Actions has built a bunch of great shortcuts using it. It has widgets which are really great. Nice charts. I love Mango Baby, and I'm so happy that an app like this existed. I think I asked on this show if people had recommendations before the baby came, and this was the one that I got recommended to me. Great live activities too. Great live activity sport. Although to be fair, they all have that, which is really good. The Upgradians. This is one of the categories where we get the most votes. The iOS, like the most singular different things, if that makes sense. Different nominations, different apps. So at 6% of the vote was Carrot Weather. Ivory comes in at 5.4% of the vote, and Call Sheet at 4.3% of the vote. So, okay, trying to work out a winner for this is complicated because there's not a lot of overlap here.
Right.
So I would like to give Final Cut Camera a runner-up.
Okay, sounds good.
I don't think we would say it was the winner.
That's fine. I'm not opposed.
But I feel like that for me and you at least, this is a good app to put in because we have used it to success this year multiple times.
Yeah.
Obviously, Mango Baby. I don't think I'm going to be able to push that to win.
I mean, this is the year you had a baby.
Yeah.
I'm not opposed to it.
Favorite apps of the year. Like I think it is a fantastic app that I want more people to know about. And so I would love it to be the winner this year because I just think it's brilliant. Call Sheet is obviously in the Upgradians votes and is in yours as well.
Mm-hmm.
I will mention Carrot Weather. Carrot Weather has won twice.
Yeah. It's right on the threshold.
Yeah, it's also a Hall of Fame. It's a Hall of Fame winner and has won this category twice.
Mm-hmm.
And Carrot Weather is an app that continues, like the ones we mentioned previously, to just get better and better and better all the time. Like Brian Weather.
Brian Carrot
does not stop.
Brian Carrot Weather. It's
Brian
hyphenated.
Carrot Weather. Yeah, Brian Carrot Weather.
Carrot Weather. Yep.
Carrot Weather.
Doesn't stop. It's true. Okay, so I like Carrot Weather a lot. I will say that we recently had a lot of rain here. I know, California, how is it possible? But it rained for 8 straight days.
And what I found is the rain.
What I found is that Apple Weather did a better job of telling me when the rain was going to stop. Like Apple Weather seems much more aggressive of like the rain is stopping in 15 minutes and then resuming 2 hours later. So basically go walk your dog now. And Carrot doesn't do that, although maybe it does do that and I just don't have it set to do that because maybe I just have it set wrong. But I found myself turning to Apple Weather a little bit more.
I guess in that scenario, you could have the Apple Weather source in Carrot Weather.
Yeah, I just don't know if it warns me the same way that the weather app does about like the comings and goings of rain. It wasn't.
I will say for me it does.
It does.
Absolutely,
okay.
It does.
So I've got misconfigured
live activities pop up and stuff like that.
All right. Okay. I guess I need to reconfigure my Carrot Weather. So that was the thing, and then I also pay for another weather app, which is Mercury Weather, and I do that primarily because it's got that trip setting that lets you have a widget that shows you the temperature where you're going to be in the future, even if it's not where you currently are.
That's
which is just
cool
a great
feature.
It's just a great feature,
great,
and it's worth it for me to pay for that. So I like Carrot Weather a lot. It's on my home screen. My only hesitation there is that I use 3 different weather apps.
That's good. Look, Jason, you're a weather aficionado.
Yeah, but I'm just using them for different features,
3 different
right?
Weather apps, no matter what, you're using a bunch of different weather.
Actually,
apps.
the best thing about Carrot Weather to me is that it does actually let me plug in my my ID from my weather station, and so when it shows the temperature, it is my weather station temperature, which I love.
It's a pretty great feature.
It is. I do love Carrot Weather. What do we want to do here?
Well, what I want to do is give Mango Baby the win and Carrot Weather the other runner-up.
Okay, let's do that.
Amazing. So Mango Baby is the best iOS app of 2025.
Let's do it.
This is also a personal thing because Myke had a baby.
Let's do it.
Yeah. So my baby is also the best iOS app.
Best baby.
Best baby.
Your baby is now the Mango Baby.
Best baby of 2025 is a secret category.
Yeah. Yeah. Boy, it would be a shame if she didn't win that one, right?
Can you imagine?
I think technically she could be the Upgrade Baby now. She could just be the new Upgrade Baby. Upgrade Baby
that
2025.
Feels a bit bad.
I know,
to original
right?
Upgrade Baby to take that away from them.
The original Upgrade Baby is like 12 now. So.
Yes, absolutely. Are you ready for the next category?
I'm not, because I have no nominations in the best newcomer iOS app category. I'm sorry.
That is
I
no
apologize
problem.
to all developers
Hey,
everywhere.
Look, Jason, books is coming. You know. So,
I know books is coming. I'm going to fill in. I'm going to kill it with books.
I have one this year. I have multiple apps I could name here, but I'm making one because I am so impressed with this app, and so I want it to stand alone. And it's called Athletic. So I had been trying out a Whoop band for the best part of a year, and never really got into talking about it because I was never sure that I actually liked it. And what was interesting about Whoop is Whoop would do things that Apple Health will not do. And it's a consistent frustration I have with Apple Health, which is you have all of this information about me, but you never overlay this data to try and give me anything useful. And like they're continuing to do this. So like now they give you your sleep score, but they're not taking into account anything other than how many hours you slept, essentially, to give you that score. When there are vitals information that they could take and put into that, which everyone else does, everything else that tracks your sleep, if it has access to vitals information, will also take that into building like a recovery score or a sleep score for you, but Apple still refuses to do it. I don't understand. But Whoop, this is their whole thing. But I felt like Whoop was a little bit more focused on athletes, right? Like people who were much more focused on that kind of fitness than me.
You're getting imposter syndrome from your health
absolutely. Band. Absolutely. And also, I didn't like wearing a second thing. Over time, it became frustrating to me. And then many people recommended this app to me, Athletic. Athletic is essentially taking the data from your Apple Watch and showing it to you in a Whoop-like interface. It has great charts. It comes up with sleep scores, recovery scores, exertion scores. So like taking information about you throughout the day. And it shows you how this information works together. It uses on-device Apple Intelligence, like the local models, to like take a look at the data from a workout and say, like, hey, this one was a little bit lighter than your previous workouts, and this is how it might make you feel. Like little things like that. Looks great, works great. I am really impressed with this app. I think everyone that has an Apple Watch should at least download and try this app out, because I think it is doing a really, really good job of taking the information that you're giving to the health app and doing something genuinely useful and interesting with it. So big recommendation from me. The Upgradians voted for Tapestry with 8.7%, Focus Friend with 7.6%, Athletic with 4.3%, and Cassette with 4.3%. Cassette is a great app. Cassette is that app that came out. It had a little bit of a splash earlier in the year where it had like a really cool interface to turn your video library into basically like a VCR kind of thing, where you could press play and it would like load videos and just start playing video clips from your library. It's a really nice app, that one.
Yeah, that was an interesting app. I never really got it to work the way I wanted it to work. But
it's nice. It was a nice app, like just like a fun thing to play around with for a little bit of time, but it's not gonna, well, at least for me at least, it's not gonna become like the main way that I start watching videos on my iPhone.
I wanted to mention here, by the way, I am on a test flight of 2 apps that are not out of beta that perfectly fit this category, but they're not even public. I mean, I think they're both known to exist, but they're not even like more broadly being beta tested, so I have to sit on those. I just have to.
Well, next year, Jason's going to come in with a stormer in this.
You're just roaring in with Newcomer iOS apps here and there.
Cool.
Yeah. I mean, your case for Athletic is great. I think that I want to get it right now.
Try it
and check it out.
Super good. It's really really fun. Really great.
So I have no problem giving it the win here.
Yes.
Let's do it. I'm gonna say something. We're so positive here on the Upgradies.
Yes.
I'm gonna say something a little negative here, which is, I want to be as kind as possible. Tapestry at number 1 from the Upgradians.
Yeah.
I haven't written about Tapestry very much. I haven't talked about it really much. It feels like a miss to me, and I was the biggest fan of Twitterific out there. I feel like they decided to do this kind of, we're going to reinvent everything. They were so burned by focusing on Twitter.
Yep.
And I understand that. They're like, we're going to just have it be feeds. But I just think all of those, we're going to build an all-purpose feed reader app, are a misfire. The whole concept and the whole category reader would fit into this as well. Yes. I feel like I want to use social media in a different place than I want to read news.
Yeah, I absolutely agree.
Or see images. Yeah. And what they've implemented is technically impressive, and every time I use it, I'm like, this is a very cool app. and then I stop. But I never keep using it because I think it's just completely misguided. And I think coming out of the Twitter client debacle, I understand their reaction.
Mm-hmm.
But as somebody who always preferred Twitterrific to Tweetbot, I still think it is a crying shame that the Icon Factory doesn't make a client for Mastodon and or Blue Sky.
Yeah.
Because I would love to see that. And instead, they've built this app that just, I mean, if you love it, that's great. But every time I open it, I think this is just not the way, this is not an app I want to see. I don't think it works at all like I want it to work. And it just frustrates me because I like the work that they've done before, that Sean and Craig have done, especially in the past, on this kind of thing. And I think it's technically very interesting. And it's not just them, but like I said, I think this whole idea of we're just going to have this neutral feed reader thingy, it's like, I don't live like that. And also I don't consume that content in that way. That's the truth of it is. A news story is not the same as a social media post.
Or a YouTube video.
It's not that, look, it's not that I couldn't see a scenario where I use a single app to browse 2 or 3 of those media types, but not in a one-size-fits-all container, which is what these apps provide.
Yeah.
I would never, I mean, you basically need to become a meta app at that point where I can go into video mode or go into newsreader mode. And at that point, yes, you are building a newsreader separate from a social media client, separate from a video player, at which point I would say perhaps you should just build one or more of those apps instead of this thing that's kind of not good enough. And you know, anyway, I don't want to beat up on the Icon Factory here, but I will say that they keep adding like bookmarking features or reply and it goes to a different app. And like, I wish they would just say, you know what, we're going to embrace our knowledge of social media clients and actually build a proper social media client, because I think they would kill it. And it's sad to me. So I appreciate the Upgradians voting for Tapestry, but like, I think that whole category of apps is a failure.
Yeah, I'm very happy for them that they have a user base that love it as much as they do, that it was the top newcomer iOS app as voted for by the Upgradians. I think that's fantastic. But I could not agree with you more. I don't understand these types of applications. Like it's mixed media for me. Like maybe I'm old school, but I would like my RSS in an RSS app, YouTube in the YouTube app, and social media in social media apps. Like that's just where they are very different types of media for me. Now, of course, I very often will see an article on Blue Sky and read it, but I'm reading stuff I'm not already subscribed to in that scenario, right? Like, and so that's why I might check something else out that is new. But to put it all in one spot, and yes, the new reader is exactly the same. I think these apps are built on a promise of federation that has not come to pass and will not.
Well, I'll go one step further, which is to say I think they're built on the premise that the important part is the feed. And that is a very programmer-centric view of the world. And as a consumer of content who knows enough to know that they're all coming in from feeds, the fact that they come in from a feed is immaterial to me, because it's not how I use the content. I use the content because that is a blog post and an RSS feed or a news headline, and that is a social stream. And if again, like, another version of this app that could exist is one that curates your social stream like Nuzzle used to do, and Sill sort of does, but you got to use, like, I would love a good app that looked at all your social streams and pulled the headlines out of them and generated a headline feed for you. That would be a thing that would be feed based. But again, the fact that it comes from feeds, while important as an implementation detail, is immaterial for me as a consumer of content. Like, the fact that my social media can come in a feed and my news articles can come in a feed doesn't make them the same. And I think all of these, I get why programmers would say this is a beautiful future where everything is an open feed and that's all we're going to support. I totally get why you would do that, but as a user, I just don't want it. So that's sorry. There's our aside in this category. Athletic is the winner. Runners up, I don't know. I think cassette is actually a good runner-up.
I agree,
right?
Completely. Yes, because it's a fun thing that people should check out. I think Focus Friend is a really interesting app. This is it's essentially like a Pomodoro timer, but it's one of these apps. Part made by Hank Green. It is one of these apps which is taking advantage of the screen time APIs. There's a few of these now where you can essentially have an app lock down your phone, and so you can't use apps that you shouldn't be using for a period of time. I think that's really interesting. Or we embrace it and put Tapestry as a runner-up, even though
actually, since we slagged it, I'd love to put Tapestry as a runner-up because I think it's technically very impressive. I think it's unfocused or misfocused, and I would like to see them turn it into something different. Because this isn't it. But we'll give it. I appreciate that from the ashes of their relationship with Twitter, the Icon Factory built this impressive piece of technology. I just think it's a misfire, and they should recalibrate.
This episode is brought to you by Sentry. Applications break in all kinds of ways, from crashes to slowdowns to regressions, the stuff that you only see once real users are using it. Sentry, though, it catches all of it. That's Sentry. Sentry. You get traces, replays, errors, profiles, and the details around them, like stack traces, commits, releases, and the developers who broke it, all in one connected view. So you're not jumping between tools trying to figure out what happened. Sentry shows you how the request moved, what ran, what slowed it down, and what the user saw. I think this stuff is really important when you're thinking about your app, right? You want it to work well for the user. Like, you've spent all this time crafting this great experience. When people are using the app, you want it to be smooth. You want it to run well. You don't want them to be hitting errors and bugs. But also, the thing that I find really valuable about this is developers want to be making new features. They don't want to be fixing bugs. If you can help them fix their bugs faster, then they're going to be able to get back to doing the things that they want to do. And there is Seer, Sentry's AI debugging agent. It takes everything from there for you. It uses all of that Sentry context to tell you the root cause and suggest the fix, and can open the pull request. It also reviews your pull request for you and flags breaking changes with a fix already ready. Try it for free at sentry.io, that's Sentry.io, and tell them that we sent you. They have a free dev plan, and listeners of this show can use the code UPGRADE26 to get $100 in Sentry credits. Our thanks to Sentry for their support of this show and Relay. So we now move on to the best overall Mac app. The Lifetime Achievement Award winner in this category is Rogue Amoeba's Audio Hijack, an app that we are both using right now.
Right now. In fact, I just used it to put your voice, during the ad read, I put your voice on the speaker out in the living room. That's also an Audio Hijack thing.
There you go.
Yeah.
Upgrade Plus listeners.
Upgrade Plus content.
They know what that's
Upgrade
all
Plus
about. They know what that's all about.
People know what's going on there. I have a lot of nominees in this category.
See? Look at him go.
I am a Mac user through and through, including a surprise that I added just as we were recording. So you're going to have to add it to the show notes after the fact, a little behind the scenes. I'm sorry. I'm still riffing here. I'm revving up my creative engine. Numbers. I added numbers. And I probably said a version of this before, but just to say it again, I stopped paying for Microsoft 365, which I used to pay for ages because I had so much internalized Excel knowledge. And I realized that at some point in the last couple of years that Excel was no longer my home, and that I felt more at home in Numbers and Google Sheets. And so why do I need to pay Microsoft anything? And we dropped it. And that does mean that every now and then Lauren's like, what is going on here? I'm like, sorry, we don't have Excel anymore. But I use Numbers. I did a bunch of stuff with Numbers to modify the way I do my charts. I do all my charts that way. I was on a podcast with Allison Sheridan where I complained about having to move all the little bars around every month or every quarter. And somebody said, you can use this formula to build a version of your chart that auto updates. And I did that. I spent a bunch of time in a bunch of different apps or a bunch of different spreadsheets in Numbers, digging through Numbers formulas, and they're really powerful. My only complaint, and it's a funny one, like one of the great advantages of Google Docs is that it's fundamentally multi-window because it's a shared thing. So if I have a giant spreadsheet with a couple different tabs I need to be in at once, I can open multiple browser windows and do that. And Numbers still doesn't let you open a second window into the same
It's also
sheet.
like, while you can share and collaborate in Numbers, it's not as easy or as slick as Sheets.
Yes, anything I do with a collaborator, I do with Google Sheets.
Yeah, absolutely.
Basically. But I use it a lot. I love it. I think it is my favorite by far. And I used to use Keynote a lot, and it's also great. I don't use Pages. Don't at me. I just don't care. But Numbers is great. So I
love Numbers and use Numbers all the time. If I'm ever making a spreadsheet for myself, if it is never going to be shared, I will definitely always use Numbers for that. Yeah. Because I just like the way it looks. I like the way it works. It's very simple. I will say I also never use Pages, except if you ever need to create an invoice. Pages is very good.
I feel like we've had this
for that.
Yeah, that's literally the only way I ever use Pages is to make an invoice.
There you go. It's good for that.
It's great invoice. They should call it Invoicer, right?
Invoicer.
Invoicer. So Numbers is good. MimeStream, which has won the best newcomer twice.
Yeah.
It's my Mac email client, and I love it, and it's really good. I mean, what can I say? It's really good. It's a Gmail client. It's great. Wouldn't it be great if they had an iOS app? Well, if they did, it's still in test flight, and I can't give it an award. So we'll see how that goes.
When they win Best Newcomer again, maybe, in a different category.
In a different platform.
3-time Best Newcomer.
That would be amazing. I'm going to say, and this is maybe a little controversial, but I put ChatGPT and Claude in here. And here's my reasoning. Both of them have interesting connections that they can do to things on your Mac that I think make them intriguing. ChatGPT supports... Is it ChatGPT or is it Claude that support connectors?
Claude is more of the connectors one.
Claude is better at this. ChatGPT has some interesting things. Claude is better at this. Yeah. Claude supports on-device connectors, so it's connected to Longplay, which is an app that supports the format, the MCP format. Claude supports Control Your Mac, which is basically like command line and OSA script, which means it can do Apple script. I actually have a statement. Now, here's the give and take of these apps. Claude has no way to remember a phrase and fire it off on command. No way to do that. Nor is it scriptable in any way. So it is ironically uncontrollable, but good at controlling things, which just drives me mad. But I have a paragraph block that I was doing over the weekend based on a Dr. Drang post about using LLMs as proofreaders. And his was more like he gets the chatbot to give him a list of corrections. And I said, well, what I would like is for the chatbot to take my file, look at it, insert the corrections in line below each paragraph where the corrections are there with a little flag, and then put it back in my text editor. And I can get Claude to do that. Claude will look at the top window in BBEdit using OSA script. It will then proofread it. It will insert its corrections as I request, not in line, but below the paragraph where the correction is there with a bunch of greater than symbols just as a marker, and then we'll take that and open a new BBEdit document with that as the contents. And it just does it, which is amazing. Except, again, okay, great. How do I wire that up to a keyboard shortcut? I can't. No. I can't. Instead, you have to script the interface. It's so dumb. So it's on the one hand, it's super brilliant. And both of these apps are like this. They have really nice aspects of them and then really stupid aspects of them. But what I like, and the fact that that ChatGPT bought Software Applications Inc., or OpenAI did, is I feel like we're right on the verge of something even more interesting in terms of really proper integration between these. Now, I could do this now using shortcuts and on-device models or the private cloud compute models, but we know, it's Apple's models. They're not quite as good. But anyway, so having those apps exist and be Mac apps and have some things about them that like do things on the Mac, I think is really good, because I'm much more interested in using these things when they're integrated into my Mac than I am when it's a web browser window. So I want to mention both of those. I'm glad that these companies, that Anthropic and OpenAI, are actually doing Mac apps, and that there's the potential that these Mac apps could become even more interesting over time. I like that. ChatGPT also does, they have an Apple Music integration now, which is kind of nice. And anyway. And then the other app I wanted to mention is Ice, because this was, Bartender got, there was a question about like Bartender got sold and like who are the new developers, and then the people who have used the new version of it say it's not that impressive, but Tahoe broke compatibility with it. And so everybody went around looking for other menu bar utilities, and Ice is a good one that is free, open source, and works. And I like that it's those things. So I want to mention Ice as well.
The Upgradians voted for ChatGPT with 6.8%, MimeStream with 5.3%, Obsidian with 3.4%, and Things at 3.4%.
Got a lot of organized.
Things is in this every single year.
I know.
Every year. Things
I know.
Is voted for by the Upgradians.
I know. Every time I use Things, I like it, I appreciate it, and then I just go back to Reminders, because Reminders is more than enough for me, even though Things is very impressive. I'm not OmniFocus either. This is not my life. Mm-hmm. I love MimeStream as a nominee or winner. Mm-hmm. I like Numbers as a nominee or winner. What do you think?
I would struggle to make ChatGPT the winner.
Well, this is what I was going to say is I think Claude is better than ChatGPT.
Okay.
That's the thing. I think Claude is better than ChatGPT as a Mac app, because it has all that control over your system and the MCP server and can talk to other apps like Longplay.
ChatGPT does interesting stuff where it can detect your window, right? And you could.
It does. It's using accessibility frameworks so it can look at your window. It's true. It's got things too. That's why I mentioned it.
Yeah, I would. If this is me and you, I'm putting numbers, and it is me and you. I'm putting Numbers as the winner, because I think that's fun, and I also use it, and I think that's hilarious. So let's make Numbers the winner.
Numbers is the winner. Really Numbers is the winner.
And let's put
MimeStream
Claude as a runner-up, and MimeStream too.
Yeah, I think so. More to come from these AI apps, but I feel like the AI apps have the potential to do some really interesting things.
I agree,
and integrate with the Mac and elevate the Mac experience a little bit more. But it's early days yet. But I'm really interested in these kind of. Again, my feeling about AI in general is like if you can come up with targeted, focused, tool-based things that use them that are good and help you in your life, great. Like that's the stuff that I'm interested in. I'm not interested in having a conversation with it.
I definitely agree with you. We move on to the best newcomer Mac app. What have you got, Jason?
Longplay came out for the Mac. I mentioned it earlier. It's got an MCP server. It very much is like it'll do shortcuts. It'll do AppleScript. I talked to the developer, and the developer is like, I have to figure out how to do an AppleScript dictionary. It may be the last new app ever to have a full AppleScript dictionary, but bless it, it does that. So it's controllable in all the ways. What it is, it was one of my favorite iPad and iOS apps. I've mentioned it before. Now it came out on the Mac. If you want to listen to a playlist all the way through or an album all the way through, Longplay, it's a very nice interface. It shows you your albums in your library. You can play them. So the new Mac version came out. It's very controllable. So you can actually ask Claude to say, can you find me an album that fits these things and play it in Longplay, and it will just do it, which is awesome. That's a very cool feature as well. That's supported by this, and you can write your own automations if you want to, because it's totally automatable. Its biggest weakness is that there's a failing in the APIs of by Apple to do AirPlay. So the only way, I think this is still true, certainly in the beta process, the only way to play, and I use AirPlay speakers, to play music from Longplay through AirPlay speakers was either to use a third-party app like SoundSource from Rogue Amoeba, or to set all of your Mac's audio output to an AirPlay speaker, which is not great because things get weird. Then you want to play a video and there's a weird delay, and I don't like it. But so glad to see this app on the Mac because I listen to most of my music on the Mac, and I don't, I shuffle through lots and lots of playlists, but I do have some desires, where it's like I want to listen to this album, and this is a really nice way to do that. Plus, I like the innovation. I like the fact that this developer built in every kind of automation possible. This is kind of like the perfect new Mac app in that it's got one foot in the past with AppleScript, it's got a second foot in the present with shortcuts, and it's got a third. It's got its eye on the future. How about that? There's no third foot. It's got its eye on the future with MCP. So,
okay.
Other ones in here. Super Whisper is a really interesting app that uses AI stuff, not only to do speech interpretation, so you run it and then you talk to your Mac, but it will process your audio into text, but it will also then, you can set it up to use an AI API to process the text that you're doing in interesting ways, and it can change based on context, based on like what app you're using. I paid for it for a little while and then sort of realized that I wasn't really using it. I'm not a strong kind of like dictation person, but like I really admire the expansiveness of this idea that you can have, like, when you trigger your microphone and you're in this app, you want a totally different prompt and a totally different set of output than you do when you trigger it in this app. It's just really smart. So that's Super Whisper. I put Ice in this category because it is, I don't know if it's new, but it's new to me. Claude and ChatGPT are in here. And then Simon Stoving's Festivitas, which came out very, very late last year. And so we didn't really cover it last year. But it's back this year with a 2.0 update. And so I think it is going to be under the wire, as in it's new enough since the last Upgradies. And it puts holiday lights on your desktop and snow. And it's automatable as well. So I talked about this on a previous podcast, and I just want to say it again now that it's happened. Like, I built a shortcut that has a random number generator in it to only drop snow in Festivitas. It runs every 20 minutes, but it only drops snow 1 in 7 times. And I cannot tell you how delightful it has been over the last month, where I'm just using my Mac and it starts snowing. And I always have that same thought, which is, oh, it's snowing. And it's delightful every time. It's so delightful because it's random. When it happens, it's just kind of amazing. So I think Festivitas is a lot of fun. Is it necessary in life? No. Does it make my Mac a nicer place to be in the holidays? Yes. And in fact, I may turn the holiday lights off and keep the snowfall on for a while longer because it's that much fun.
My best Newcomer Mac app is also Festivitas.
Mm-hmm.
What I like about this app is I love it on the iPhone too. But what I love about this app is it is essentially pointless, right? Like,
yes.
Its usefulness is that it doesn't have it, except that it is fun. And there has always been a long history of Mac apps that exist just because they are fun to have, because the Mac allows you to do weird things like this that other platforms do not allow.
It is firmly in the tradition of the talking moose, which lived in your menu bar and watched your mouse move around and would say things, which was, did it do anything? The extension that turned your trash can on the desktop into Oscar the Grouch trash can from Sesame Street, and he would come out when you emptied your trash and sing a little song. Of After Dark, the screensaver that included, of course, the flying toasters. And the one that it really reminds me of is there was an After Dark kind of like competitor called Underwear, and its whole premise was basically like it was drawing essentially screensavers, but it was on your desktop. And it would do things like a window washer would come out and like squeegee one of your Finder windows in the background. And it's just like, did this take up CPU time? Yes. Was it a waste of time? Yes. Was it delightful? Yes. And part of the fun is to do stuff like that. So this is a great, I would love to see more Mac apps like this because, again, it gives me something. Is it a productivity utility? No. But does it delight me and make me enjoy using my Mac, which is a device that I also use to be productive? It absolutely does. I wish there were more apps like Festivitas. So congratulations to Simon Festivitas Stavring. Simon Festivitas Scriptable Stavring for his win, because this one's going to win.
Yeah, it's absolutely going to win. So I'm going to put that in now. So Festivitas is the winner,
it's the winner
of the best Newcomer Mac app for this year. The Upgradians voted for Affinity at 5.5%, Hyperspace at 5.5%,
John Syracuse,
ChatGPT at 4.6%, but there's more. But wait, there's more. Ghosty at 4.6%, and Tapestry at 4.6%. There are 5 here because there were 2 sets of ties. Ghosty is a terminal app I'd not heard of. And obviously Affinity is the designer kind of Photoshop competitor, which is also now interesting because it is completely free. It was bought by Canva, and they've made it completely free now. So I'm sure more and more people are using it. Apparently it's very, very good. So a lot of great new Mac apps there. What would you like to make as a runner-up? Should we put Long Play in there?
Long Play for sure. For sure. And I want to put, I think, Super Whisper in there, because even though it's not quite for me, what I like about it is it's using AI tech to do something interesting with the Mac and not just be an empty box where you type things. And I want to see more of that. I think, as we said in our last round, I feel like ways of taking the Mac interface and just pumping up little bits of it with AI stuff, that I find very interesting in a way that, again, here's a blank screen with an empty box you type in. Like, I know this is very popular. I find it so uninteresting because it is the equivalent of a command line. And I know that it's very powerful, and I use that stuff too to do very targeted work. But like, in the long run, a chatbot box is the wrong interface. It just is the wrong interface. A box you type in an app that's targeted, or something that knows what app you're using or what tool you're using or what project you're in, and that can help you. Very interesting to me. Yeah, but like,
it's already coming with a lot of the context baked in. The developer has done that. You don't need to do that.
Exactly. So a relatively context-free window you have to type a whole command into. While I do find the act of crafting a command can be very focusing and a good intellectual exercise, and I think is actually work, I'm less interested by the interfaceless, contextless. To bring up that proofreading example again, I appreciate that Dr. Drang can paste his story in his blog post in an LLM and have a prompt that he wrote that says, please proofread this and give me back. And then it does that, and it gives him back text in that window that says, here are the mistakes I found. And then he can switch to his text editor and implement those himself. Like, I appreciate that, but like, there's got to be a better way, right? Like, those tools should be integrated into the text editors. And if you don't want them to change your words, that's fine. They should be able to mark your words, or like I did with my experiment, put them right under and say, here's a thing you should look at. Just more integration, because as users, we should demand more than, like, as amazing as some of the responses to a chatbot can be in an app, like, it's not good enough. It's just not good enough. It needs to be better. They need to be way better. So I like to see apps that are trying that. And Super Whisper is a good example of, like, what if we could give some more context to what's going on here?
We now move into the best feature round. So this is a category that changes year to year. So we will pick a feature in the Apple platforms.
We're innovating,
as the
folks.
Thing that we would like to see highlighted. So the first year was the best example of this so far, which was widgets. So like the best app that had widgets. The problem is in past years, in 24 and 25, Apple has kind of not really had something in the OSs that can be widely adopted. You could have said Liquid Glass this year maybe, but anyway, we came up with best implementation of a 26-year OS feature. Now, when we came up with this, my thought was a third-party app that takes one of the features and does a good job of it. Mm-hmm. But everybody else, including Jason, has just recommended different features from the different 26 platforms, which is fine.
I thought about it, right?
Yeah.
I did think about it. And I thought about my apps that I use that do a good job implementing Liquid Glass. Unfortunately, apps only really have access to onboard models, AI models. I think if they had access to private cloud compute, things would be a little more interesting. But they don't, which means you have to bridge it with shortcuts, which makes it not really integrated. But in the end, I decided that my favorite 26 features deserved recognition, so that's sort of where I went with this category.
And what are they?
iPad multitasking is number one. They did it, Myke. They did it. I remember having our conversations in June about, we have been talking about iPad multitasking for so long, and it's been so, there's the potential and there's the frustration and all of those things. And I think they did a great job implementing it. And then with point 1 and point 2, they have filled in a lot of the cracks that remained. I like the idea that like the platform isn't solved. There are lots of problems on the iPad platform involving software. Federico has talked about this a lot. But interface-wise, I feel like it is where it needs to be. I feel like there's this toggleable thing. You can go into this mode, and then it can be as multitasky as you want it to be. And like, I think they did a good job. It feels right. It feels good. I have little to no criticism of how they implemented it. It really is a very good implementation.
What else?
Clipboard history on the Mac. This is the year. So the short version of the story is 2 or 3 years ago, I had a reader wrote into Six Colors and said, what utilities should I install when I first get my Mac? Because I'm switching platforms. Like, what utilities do you recommend? And I thought this was actually a really good intellectual exercise for like, where are the gaps? But the truth is, most of the utilities that I rely on have been replaced by system features. And I do fundamentally believe that if you can use a system feature, you probably should give it a try. Because adding another app on top of it, not only do you have to pay for that app, which, if it provides you a feature, then pay for it, by all means, support that developer. But like, over time, what's happened is that Apple has improved macOS underneath me while I, back 20 years ago, installed Launch Bar or whatever, and because Spotlight wasn't good enough. And this whole thought process led to me realizing the one great unimplemented feature on the Mac ever is clipboard history. That I rely on multiple clipboards and clipboard history all the time. There are a bunch of apps that do it. And those apps can do things that are, I know people in Tahoe who still use Pastebot because it does things they like that the clipboard history doesn't. But to provide to all users a clipboard history where even if it's just a friend who doesn't know anything about this and they're like, oh no, that text I lost my text and it only exists on my clipboard. And you can be like, has it been within the last 7 hours? Let's go and look at your clipboard history, and you can retrieve it from the clipboard history. Such a good feature. And I'm using it now. This is, I stopped using Launch Bar, which I use for clipboard history, and I just am using the system clipboard history, and it works great for me. So it's just a huge step forward for them to do this. It made me one of my favorite things in Tahoe because it feels like Apple actually paying attention to the empty spaces in the Mac where they could potentially do some good work and doing it. And it works well for me. So, clipboard history. And then my last one is what I mentioned just a moment ago, private cloud compute and shortcuts. Apple's models aren't the best, but Apple's cloud model is way better than its on-device model. And I've built multiple shortcuts that use Apple's cloud model, and right now it's basically free. Like, there are you can get API access to ChatGPT and Claude and all of that, but like private cloud compute, you just get it because you're a Apple device user and you can write a shortcut. And so like my best example is that I updated my shortcuts that upload images to Six Colors when I'm writing, especially on the iPad. And like now it generates alt text. It generates a file name that's relevant based on the contents of the image. And that's because I'm uploading the image, a scaled down version of the image, to private cloud compute and saying, okay, give me a description, give me a file name. And I crafted that prompt and then I got to check it a little bit because LLMs, they're going to do weird stuff, but like it does it. And it's a revelation. So having access to an LLM essentially for free to use in my automation, so you can take things that used to be impossible to automate because they were linear and turn them into these things that are, you never really know what you're going to get. But it means that instead of having like, I run the command and then I have to sit there and like go through and I have to show it. It shows me the image and then says, what do you want to name this image? And then what do you want to have as the alt text and all that? And it's gone. And I see the result and I can decide whether I like the alt text or not and I like the file name or not. But I think it's a really great feature that augurs good things for the future that Apple has built it in. Even though, they need to be able to provide app developers with access to it as well.
Yep. For me, I recommend one app, which is Athletic again, because I think that it's done a really good job of the liquid glass design aesthetic from a style perspective and a navigation perspective. I think it looks and works really great. But also they are using the on-device models for giving workout insights in a way that I think is quite impressive. But then also I recommend, I'm nominating iPad multitasking because it's fantastic and has totally changed the way I use my iPad for the better. And I'm also going to nominate Liquid Glass. I think overall, while it is not perfect, I think that it is a good step forward for iOS. Personally, I think that the system is more interesting to use again. And
boo! What
monsters
would recommend Liquid Glass?
Boo-uns? Was that
boo-uns? But by the way, so Mike, what did the Upgradians say?
50. This to me was one of the most exciting things that could have possibly happened. With 15.7% of the vote is Liquid Glass.
Look at that.
And that to me really is like that, like the loud, like there is a group of people that are really loud about Liquid Glass, but even in our audience, nearly 16% of the people who wrote in said that Liquid Glass was their favorite thing over iPad multitasking, which is the next one at 8.8% of the vote. So twice the amount of people said that Liquid Glass was their favorite feature of iOS 26, of like the 26th year.
Mm-hmm.
And then at third is call screening at 6.9%, which is a feature that I really like. I think this is a great feature where essentially your phone starts having a conversation with the person who's calling you, and it will show a little icon, and then it will eventually pop up and show like a text conversation going through. I think it's really well done, and I like it and use it a lot. I think the winner of this should be probably iPad multitasking.
Sure. Yeah, I agree.
Because it's on everybody's lists, and it is fantastic.
I agree.
And then I guess what? Liquid Glass and Clipboard, maybe?
Yep.
The runner-ups?
That works for me.
That works. Yeah. Because I'm really happy that the Clipboard history is there, but I'm still using Raycast for it. Because honestly, I know this sounds wild, but the main reason I continue to use Raycast is it's one keyboard shortcut, not a keyboard shortcut and then another keyboard shortcut.
Yeah.
To get.
Well, that's one of the things that I think that they need to fix is that they need to make you should be able to assign a keyboard shortcut to clipboard history. That said, I have my old keyboard shortcut for clipboard history on Launch Bar. I have that in Keyboard Maestro where I press it and it does the double key entry to get me there.
Clever.
And it's transparent. Yep. So I do command / and immediately the clipboard history shows up, but that should be a feature. You should just be able to assign a key. You shouldn't have to enter Spotlight and then enter clipboard history. That's real dumb.
This episode is brought to you by Ecamm. If you're a Mac user who creates videos or podcasts, you need Ecamm. Ecamm Live is the all-in-one studio built exclusively for Mac, so it looks, feels, and performs like a native pro app on the Mac should. Whether you're live streaming, recording a podcast, or producing training videos, Ecamm gives you broadcast-level quality control with drag-and-drop simplicity. Switch cameras, share your screen, cue overlays, and control audio, all without ever leaving your Mac. With Ecamm, you can brand your show with titles, graphics, and lower thirds. You can also pull in guests via interview mode or record multi-track audio for perfect post-production. And if you're into automation, Ecamm works beautifully with tools and apps like Stream Deck and Loopback, as well as many Mac tools and apps that you already know and love. One of the things that I really like about Ecamm Live is how Mac-like it feels. Like, you really feel like you're just using a Mac app. It doesn't feel like an open source app that has a wrapper around it or anything like that. It feels like a Mac app, works like a Mac app, and it actually makes live streaming and controlling lots of video and audio inputs a really possible and easy thing to do on the Mac, which hasn't always been the case. You can upgrade to Pro and unlock Ecamm for Zoom that lets you feed your polished setup straight into Zoom meetings or webinars, share Zoom comments on screen, and even capture each participant's audio and video separately for easy post-production work. To get 15% off, go to ecamm.com/upgradefm and use the code upgradefm. That is 15% off at ecamm.com/upgradefm. That's ecamm.com/upgradefm with the code upgradefm. Our thanks to Ecamm for their support of this show and Relay. Time for Game of the Year. Jason, what is your Game of the Year?
Yeah, I don't play a lot of games. People know this. The game I played maybe the most this last 6 months on the iPad is the Carcassonne game by the Coding Monkeys that's no longer in the App Store, but still works.
Wow.
They lost the
works?
license.
Wow.
It not only does it still work, we had a conversation on Mastodon about this. The way they implemented the graphics means that even though it was made a long time ago, the graphics still look like super sharp because they're high-res graphics that just get scaled. It still works, and it's great. And the shame there is basically they built this amazing Carcassonne game, and then they lost the license. And the new Carcassonne game is bad because people have seen this with other things too. I think Scrabble, this happened too, which is like at some point, one of these really bad game companies they've got money to buy a license, and then they make a garbage app. And you can see the difference between an iOS app built with care by like an indie game studio, and then in comes this game studio that just does a crappy job with just a lousy app that's full of garbage. So I played Carcassonne a lot. I'm not going to give it an award, but just to say that if you bought it back in the day, it still works. You should download it because it's still in the App Store as a purchased item. It stays there forever, which is awesome because it still works. The game that I played that came out this year that I really loved and played all the way through was on the Switch 2, and it was Herdling, which was published by Panic.
Yep.
It is like Journey except with herding. Journey with goats. It's more not. They're not goats. They're like weird beasts, but Journey with weird herd beasts that you go around with. Great music, great visuals, really affecting, and also you can do it in like 3 hours, which I really love in a game. Mm-hmm. It's such a good game. So that was my real winner. There are other games that I have wanted to play more. I do have a Switch 2. I have played it very little, but Herdling came out, and I realized this is the kind of game where I should just buy it, and we're going to sit down one night. I think we finished it the next night. Lauren and I are just going to sit down and take turns playing. It's a single person player, but like I played the first few levels and then handed her the controller, and then she did the next few levels, and it's just a really delightful experience. If you have a platform that Herdling is on, I highly recommend it, especially if you like games like Journey. It really reminds me of Journey, and I think Journey is one of the all-time greats. So for those kind of,
check this one out.
It's the classic artsy fartsy short, narrative game with pretty visuals and pretty sound, and I just a great vibe. Loved it. What do you have?
Donkey Kong Bonanza is my game of the year this year. This was a game that when it was first shown off when the Nintendo Switch 2 came out, I was intrigued about it, but couldn't imagine that it would be to the level of the quality of which it is. And then information started coming out about this game and who was behind it, and it was the same team who made Mario Odyssey from nearly 10 years ago. And then things started to change. This game is fantastic. I've never played a video game quite like it. That there is a game that is like so destructible and interesting, and it's doing some like really fantastically weird stuff with the fact that you can just essentially destroy everything in the game. You could just tunnel down into the ground.
It sounds like so much fun. I haven't gone there, but I want to play it. It sounds like amazing.
It's really fun. My only knock on this game is it is a tad long. There is a part in kind of like towards the end where you're like, okay, we could skip a couple of these levels, but this game ends in an absolutely fantastic crescendo. I loved this game. I had so much fun with it.
Great.
The Upgradians give 10.1% to Donkey Kong Bonanza. Balatro at 8.1%. Definitely not a 2025 video game.
I did play a lot of Balatro this year, though.
Me too. Oh, yeah. I've gotten back onto Balatro big time
I stopped.
on my iPhone.
Again, I went back on. I did Balatro, and then so it was the progression. Myke was Marvel Snap to Balatro to Suika game to Carcassonne.
Oh, see, I went from Suika game back to Balatro. And then Clair Obscur Expedition 33, which is a game that I have started after it won. It's basically swept up at the Game Awards. It is a very interesting, and I can tell, very special video game, but I'm not very far into it yet. So Balatro won Game of the Year last year. So
sure.
What I would like to do for this category is Donkey Kong Bonanza as our Game of the Year, with Hurdling and Clair Obscur as our runner-up.
I love it. I love it.
Favorite movie time, Jason?
Yeah,
what are your nominations for favorite
movie podcast? 4 favorite movies that I've seen this year: Thunderbolts, Marvel. It is a great for people who have gotten tired of Marvel movies and are like, whatever. And Thunderbolts has no real recognizable characters in it. It's minor characters from other Marvel movies. We did a whole incomparable episode about it. It is great. It is a great movie. It is fun and funny. It has something to say about because these are kind of like it's really easy to read it as being the Marvel version of the Suicide Squad, which is it's a bunch of terrible people who are put together and forced to be heroic. That's not what it is. It is more like Guardians of the Galaxy in the sense that these are people who are kind of in difficult places, even more than Guardians. They're more ragtag, but they've made mistakes and are in bad places in their life. And it's a real question of are you going to dig yourself out of it? And how do you do that? And one of the ways, the answer the movie says is making connections with other people is really important. And that's the theme of the movie. It's funny. It's got David Harbour gives a great performance as the Red Guardian, who is the dad of the new Black Widow, which is Florence Pugh, who gives a great performance.
He's the Russian Captain America, essentially.
Yeah, he is the Russian. He's like the kind of old, fat Russian Captain America, hilarious character. And then there is Bucky is in it, right? And he's used in a funny way. And Julia Louis-Dreyfus is actually pretty good as the kind of villain of the piece. But it's funny, and there is a moment midway through the movie where it just takes flight, and I'm not going to spoil it, but there is a scene that happens out in the middle of the desert after they've sort of been ejected from where they have been held captive, where everything kind of falls apart, and then David Harbour arrives on the scene, and it just takes flight. It is a delight. I love it so much.
And I adore Julia Louis-Dreyfus in that movie. She's fantastic in it as well. So really great. Really, really great.
Yeah. So that's Thunderbolts. Great. Superman, the new Superman was really good. I saw that in the theater, and we saw it in IMAX, and even my son, my 21-year-old son, we walked out of it, and he's like, that was too loud, which I thought was really funny. It was too loud. They had the volume up too high. We watched it again when it came out on home video because Lauren didn't go with us to see it because we saw it during the week on a weekday when she has to work her job, and I took my son and we went and saw it in IMAX. It's still really good, right? I watched it again. I was like, oh, I really like this. I really like Nicholas Holt's performance as Lex Luthor. I think he gives the best performance in the movie. I was so impressed. He apparently read for Superman, and James Gunn was like, how about Lex Luthor instead? But I think he does a really good job.
He's not Superman. He's not.
As with most blockbusters, I could play the game where you look at any blockbuster movie and there's at least one action set piece that I would just like to delete from the movie because it makes the movie it slows the movie down and makes it too long. And it's like, guys, you got a Superman movie here. You don't need this. You don't need the scene where there's the antimatter river and they're you don't need it. It's a waste of time. It's boring. The rest of the movie's great. What's her name? Mrs. Maisel is great. Rachel Brosnahan.
Yep.
Is great as Lois Lane.
Love her as Lois. And the two of them have such great chemistry.
Yeah. No, it's really good. It's really good. And he's a good what's his name?
David Corenswet.
David Corenswet is a good Superman. I like this take on him. There's some funny robots at the beginning. I like the idea that he's trying to live up to his parents' ideals, but his parents' ideals might not be what he's living up to. It's his own ideals. I thought that was a really good twist. And the choice James Gunn makes to have other superheroes in the movie and have them be interesting and funny, like there's Mr. Terrific, who steals the movie in many ways, is so great. And you've got Green Lantern, and it's a jerky Green Lantern, which is great. And then Hawkgirl, and they all have their kind of like interactions together. That part is really fun too. So Superman, really good movie. Highly recommend.
Turns out James Gunn can make a good superhero movie.
Like, if we didn't know it already. I think actually it turns out that James Gunn is a flexible enough director to also get the material for Guardians of the Galaxy and get the material for Superman, and realize, and he did this. He did Suicide Squad, the second Suicide Squad, I guess,
the good one.
And that thematically, like, you got one that's kind of dark, one that's really dark, and then you got Superman. And the fact is, he has range. He understands the tonal range necessary for that character, and so Superman does not go places that you might think from James Gunn. It goes some places you'd think, but other places it knows what Superman is and what he represents and why he's a good character and not a character who previous Superman directors sometimes treat him as a very boring character, and that's the wrong take to have if you're going to direct a Superman movie. Also on this list, the winner for Best Animated Feature at the Oscars this year was Flow. It is a dialogueless movie about animals in a flood. It includes the greatest lemur and there's another great lemur and a capybara are in it. Amazing. And it's about a cat. And it goes some weird places, and I love it. Does it look like a very long video game that you don't play? A little bit. They made it entirely in Blender, but like, it's a really good movie. I liked it a lot.
They made the movie in Blender?
In Blender. The entire movie is in Blender, and it won the Oscar. Yeah.
Wow, that's good for Blender.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it is good for Blender. It's good. It's real good. And this is a movie that I think people haven't seen because the title is probably a turnoff, but there is a movie called My Old Ass. The concept of the movie is that that Aubrey Plaza is an adult, 39 years old, and that same, when she was 18, she's played by a different actress, and she gets high on mushrooms and sees her future self. Basically, like this, the premise is she gets high on mushrooms, and what she ends up seeing is she has a conversation and a series of ongoing conversations with her future self, and her future self is like, you get the sense that there are terrible things happening in the future, but the future self is trying to insulate her past self from them. It is a really great movie. I highly recommend it. People should see it. It's kind of like the movie it's most like, and maybe this will sell some people on it, is Arrival. And I know that seems unlikely, but it is. It's like Arrival. But instead of spaceships, there's a boat. So My Old Ass, good movie, overlooked. Definitely worth your time.
On my list is Superman. I loved Superman. I was so excited that Superman and Fantastic Four were coming out like so close to each other, and to me it was like, well, Superman is it's going to be a good time, but Fantastic Four I was so hyped for. Fantastic Four, I liked that movie.
It's a good movie.
Superman, I loved Superman.
Mm-hmm.
I cried like 3 times watching Superman. Like, there is something about this movie that is so good, and James Gunn understands how to like hit an emotional moment with an image and a piece of music. And they use the Superman theme in this movie maybe better than any title theme I've ever heard used in a movie. Like, they just, every time they use it, it is perfectly used, and they use it in a perfect way. Like this whole movie, I loved it. I love it.
Makes you want to stand up and salute. Yep.
It absolutely does make you feel like that.
Yeah.
It's wonderful. Thunderbolts, I had forgotten came out this year until I saw it in your list, and I also really liked this movie. Again, I would probably want to rewatch this before I want to rewatch Fantastic Four. I liked Fantastic Four. I was just let down by Fantastic Four because I wanted to be blown away by Fantastic Four, and I wasn't.
I liked it a lot. but I think Thunderbolts is the best Marvel movie of the year by far, which is not what I. This is the thing. It's all about anticipation. I was very surprised going into Thunderbolts, and I just thought it was great. Fantastic Four was good though. It was really good. I don't think it was a bad movie.
No, it's not.
But
this was an expectations not met kind of scenario for me, right? But unfortunately for Fantastic Four, my expectations were incredibly high and didn't meet that.
Yeah.
And then F1. I loved F1. I thought it was a really great action movie of the kind that aren't really made anymore. And I think that they did a good job of it. I think technically it was very impressive. And it ticked all the boxes that I wanted ticked for a movie like this. I really enjoyed this film.
We watched F1 the same day that we rewatched Top Gun for an Incomparable episode, and then that night we watched F1. So it was really, and I was struck by how similar they are. They are movies that are more about, and Tom Cruise did a racing movie, Days of Thunder, but like where they tried to do Top Gun but racing. But F1 feels very much like Top Gun but racing. In the same way that, Brad Pitt is great and he holds it together just like Tom Cruise and Val Kilmer do in Top Gun. But the point of the movie in Top Gun is that there are planes flying around. And the point of the movie in F1 is that there are cars. And there are some shots in F1 that I kept thinking this is doing to me what Top Gun did. There are some shots in F1 where you're in kind of like behind the driver in the car and you're looking through the windshield and crazy things are happening on the track right in front of you. It's just like, oh my God, like this is what movies were made for, right? On one level, on the pure, not on themes and et cetera, not on that level, on the level of pure motion picture. What can it do to an audience to excite them with sound and visuals? There are a few moments in F1 where I'm like, oh, look at that. Look at they did that. And I think I didn't love it because I think part of it was the comparison to Top Gun, which I actually think is a better movie because it's even more impressive. But the original. But they're both of a kind in a way where it's like, I appreciate the filmmaking here. And I didn't, for it to be transcendent, that amazing visual stuff needs to be kind of like coupled with a really great story. And I thought that the F1 story was fine. It's not a bad movie. It's a good movie. But like some of those visuals are incredible.
I saw it in IMAX, like one of the huge IMAX screens. Like it's one of the screens that they show 70mm IMAX on. It was...
Yeah,
it was intense. I love that movie. The Upgradians voted with 13.1% for Sinners, 11.9% for F1, and One Battle After Another at 11.1%.
I've got Sinners on my list. I guess I got One Battle on my list as well, but Sinners is like on my list of the next couple of movies I need to see, and I just haven't seen it. Part of that is I'm not sure whether Lauren wants to watch it or not, so I gotta really ascertain that because she may not be interested in a movie that's got some of that content in it that might turn her off. So we'll see. But I've got Sinners on my list, and it sounds great. So I just haven't seen it.
What do we want to make as our movie of the year?
I don't know. What would you vote for here?
Superman.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that.
And then F1 and Thunderbolts.
Yeah.
I was so blown away by Superman. I was very surprised at how good that movie was.
Yeah, it's really good.
Marketing campaign of the year goes to Thunderbolts, though. If we did that was the marketing campaign for that was very fun.
Yeah, I still think a lot of people just gave it a skip, and they shouldn't. You should go back and watch it. It's good.
Favorite TV show, Jason?
Oh man,
what have you got for us?
Got a big list here. Good year for TV. Okay. Good year for new TV. The Pit on HBO Max, starring Noah Wyle, brought back the ER-style hospital drama. I know there's a lawsuit, but like he's playing a different character, and it's really kind of taken a modern take on this. Also, really taught they took a gamble on it because it's like 15 episodes, but they shot it on it's primarily on just a single set in this emergency room, and I think a lot of other streamers are going to try and replicate it because it's this idea that you can get 15 episodes a year out of a show instead of 8 or 6 every 2 years is a good one. And they killed it. It's just, it's emotional. It's pulse pounding. It is like there's so much life and death drama and human drama to be found in intense medical situations, and the Pit knows what it's doing. There are a bunch of, the premise is similar to ER in the sense that, and to ERs in general and emergency rooms in general, which is you've got attending physicians who are like the bosses, but then you've also got a bunch of people who are like interns and medical students who are also working. And so you get young people who are being exposed to these things for the first time. You've got people who are a little more jaded, and then you've got kind of like the senior people who are often really jaded, but also can be wise. Really good combination from Noah Wyle. He was the fresh-faced medical student in ER, and he is the grizzled veteran here. Great performance, great show. Loved it to death. Coming back next month. Coming back in a few weeks for another extended run. So I love that too, that they can make more of this show.
Still not available.
Not available in the UK.
So HBO
Amazing.
Max, unbelievably, is launching here in March. And for some reason, they're holding the Pit for that. Even though they're continuing their deal with Sky as well, which has some shows. I don't know why the Pit has been kept in this limbo, but it has. So at some point, I will watch the Pit, and I'll look forward to it.
You'll have
Maybe
30
I'll
episodes
2
to
seasons.
watch by then.
That'd be good for me. That'd be good for me.
All right. Pluribus
on
Apple TV. I love it. Fantastic. The whole thing really makes you think. Looks great. Interesting characters. Another, it's just Vince Gilligan doing his thing. It's really good. Love it. Great performance by Ray Seahorn. Just good stuff. Ludwig, which actually came out in 24 in the UK, but it hit the US in 25.
Right.
This is David Mitchell as a puzzle creator whose identical twin brother is a detective who solves crimes. His brother goes missing. They make the bad decision of replacing him, pretending to be his brother. And so he doesn't know anything about police work, but he does know how to solve puzzles. And David Mitchell is so funny. They're good mysteries, but also just kind of ridiculous at the same time. It was a real find. David Lohr recommended it on the Incomparables Best of Last Year episode, and a bunch of us were like, okay, I'll watch that.
Something like David Lohr would like. That feels like a David Lohr TV
it's
show.
it's a mystery kind of thing, but it's so good. It's so good. So it's on BritBox in the US and BBC in the UK. So you can just check it out. So good. It's like 6 episodes. It goes by fast, but it's exactly my jam. Exactly my jam. Severance. They did it, Amazing. Myke. They made another season of Severance, and they didn't blow it.
I know. Seriously, a very hard task that they succeeded in. And I mean, it sounds like they spent a lot of money to make that, because it seems like they reshot a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, they had to fix a bunch of stuff. They brought in Bo Willem on to run season 3, and he ended up having to run the back half of season 2 in order to get it where they wanted it to be. But they did. They did get it there. And, there's one episode this season that I didn't like, but most of them I really liked. And I feel like they carried it off. And it's not... I mean, of course, season 1 was so great, but like honestly, at the end of season 1, I was like, "This is amazing. This was an amazing ride." But I also had part of me that was like, I'm a little worried about whether they can carry this off going forward, because they're going to have to complexify the world and the details and the characters, and are they going to be able to do that without losing the magic? And the answer is that they did. We'll see if they can do it for season 3, but they did it for season 2. They killed it.
Absolutely.
And I forgot that this was this year, and then I was reading one of these stories that this TV show is based on, and I realized that it was this year. And I want to give a shout out to another Apple show, Murderbot, based on the series of novellas by Martha Wells about a killer robot that becomes is freed from its servitude and has to figure out how to navigate the world. It is a sci-fi comedy. It is both a good sci-fi show and a funny show about humanity. And yes, the killer robot teaches us all about humanity. It's a humanoid robot. It wears like a mask and stuff to look like a robot, but like then it takes off the mask and it's just a person. And that deeply disturbs the other humans, because it's not a human. It's a person, but not a human. And what does that mean? And like, so it's got some real depth to it while also being fun and exciting. So like, it's right up my alley. Murderbot, highly recommend. It's great.
I will echo Severance. Just brilliant. Loved it. Loved every second of it. Great show. Expertly done. Incredible performances all around. Like, wonderful. But my show of the year was the studio. I think the studio was a creative tour de force. Yes, it was a very, like, do you like Hollywood type show, right? Like, I think that helps. Like, if you care about how movies and TV are made, you're going to enjoy this more. But I don't think that is a prerequisite to enjoying the show. But I think there's a lot of inside jokes that you would enjoy. Like, basically, if you listen to The Town, which is a podcast that we love and recommend, and I think is a previous favorite podcast winner, then you will love the studio. But I think that it is just fantastic. Every little thing you see about how this show was made only elevates it in my mind. But irrespective of all of the technical stuff, it is just a very fun, funny, entertaining watch. With great casting the whole way through, fantastic guest performances. I adored this show. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant stuff.
Mm-hmm. Great show.
The Upgradians voted for Pluribus at 21.5%. I should say I haven't finished it yet, by the way. It's not going to get nominated by me because I haven't seen it. We're only a few episodes in. Severance at 18.2%, and The Studio at 7.4%. I think maybe you wouldn't put The Studio as the winner.
It's not in my top 5. It is in my top 10, but it's not in my top 5.
But I would be very happy to put Severance as the winner.
Yeah, let's put Severance at the top.
On everybody's list. And what do we want to do as our runner-ups? Pluribus?
Yeah. We can do Pluribus in The Studio. That's fine.
Studio, all Apple. Well, we spoke about this in the draft. They're doing great stuff over there.
They are.
All right, it's your time to shine, Jason Snell. Favorite book?
All right, Myke doesn't read. I did like Apple in China, a book that you should read.
Yeah, I will. I absolutely will read.
You know, when you're trapped under a baby and it's 5 a.m, one thing you could do is read.
I was trapped under a baby at 5 o'clock in the morning, but what I didn't want to do last night was stimulate my brain in any way because I wanted to go to sleep so I could record the Upgradies today.
Yeah. I had a moment where I realized that I was chatting with Myke and he was awake in the morning and I had not gone to bed yet.
Yep, it was rough stuff.
Yeah, I just watched a football game and then there's Myke texting and I'm like, Myke, what's going on? And
what's particularly bad is if me, you, and Steven are in the group chat together talking at the same time because I can wake. Most mornings I'm awake before you could conceivably have gone to bed, right? But this was like, no, we're middle of the night territory now.
Because it was like 9:30 here.
Yeah,
and Steven was still up late.
Steven was still up,
you were awake.
And I was awake.
Anyway, Apple in China, it's good. Patrick McGee. If you're looking for nonfiction about Apple, that is the pick. It is one of the best books written about Apple ever.
I gotta read it.
Great details, just amazing details. What a good job.
I always like those podcasters that says it's like what they say in Apple in China because I hear that all over the place now. Yeah. From the Apple in China book, they say that this.
You should probably read it.
I could also be one of those podcasters.
Yeah. Or I don't know. Is there an audiobook? Get the audiobook. Listen to that.
There
in
is,
podcast
and that's how I would do it. That is how I would do it. But right now, Jason, I'm re-listening to a bunch of The Rest is History because I can't be stopped. I'll talk about this in a minute.
Okay. 2 best books I read this year are Moonbound by Robin Sloan. Moonbound, so this is the author of Sourdough, which was kind of like a tech industry book that's fun and weird. And Mr. Penumbra's 24-Hour Bookstore, which is also a very good book that I really enjoyed. But Moonbound, it's a wild book. It is sort of sci-fi and a little bit fantasy. It's set in the far future, but it's got some concepts from the present or the near future mixed in. There are dragons on the moon. There are sentient robots that have their bodies distributed all over Earth, but they have one consciousness. There's a character who's on a quest, very fantasy-like. There is a secret spaceship that is revealed at an interesting time. There is a character who's basically like an Instagram influencer from the 21st century who just appears on the scene. You're like, what? It's bananas and great. I loved it. Moonbound, Robin Sloan, highly recommended. And then the other book I want to recommend is Automatic Noodle by Annalee Newitz.
That's a great name.
I've read a bunch of their stuff. This is really good. It's short. It's basically a novella, and it is cozy. It is a very nice story about a bunch of robots in the mid 21st century after a kind of apocalyptic civil war in San Francisco.
Cozy.
But it is. This is what I'm saying is, but so the world around them is strange and a little bit disturbing. But in the end, what do the robots want to do? These sentient robots, all they want to do is open a noodle shop and make noodles for people. That's all they want to do.
Are there any people though?
There are people. Oh yeah, okay. Yeah. It's not. No, there's people. There's like a civil war, so California is now its own country, and they're like, some of these robots used to be war robots, but now they just want to make noodles, and there's some plot stuff that goes on, but like in the end, like how Travis Baldree wrote a book called what was that called? Legends and Lattes. That was basically a fantasy novel about a warrior. But really what she wants to do is open a coffee shop. This is like that, except it's more sci-fi because it's about robots. But it's the same idea. The robots just want to open a noodle shop in San Francisco. That's all they want to do. They have to deal with mean review bombers who give them bad reviews online. It's great. I love it. Automatic Noodle by Annalee Newitz.
The Upgradians voted for Apple in China by Patrick McGee at 10%. The Cory Doctorow book, the title that I don't want to say on the show, is 2.9% of the vote. Also, it's just a phrase that really annoys me. Really
people have really
me.
Attached to it.
They've taken that one. And it's just not a good phrase.
Down.
And
I agree.
I just don't like it. And sometimes you can make your point without using that language.
And people misuse it too. It's just it's too clever by half. I never liked it.
Yeah. Anyway, so that one's not winning. And Everything is Tuberculosis by John Green, also at 2.9%.
Yeah.
What would you like to be the winner of the category, Jason?
I think it is going to be Moonbound.
Love it. Moonbound.
Congratulations to Robin Sloan. Great book. And then Automatic Noodle and Apple in China are our runners-up.
Perfect. This is your list.
Because I can, I get to choose, and I'm not going to. I know there's a tech nonfiction book about Apple that we could make the winner, but I'm just not going to. It's a good book, though. People should read it.
Favorite podcast. There are 2 Lifetime Achievement Award winners in the favorite podcast category. That is ATP, the Accidental Tech Podcast, from when we had a favorite tech podcast category, but we folded those together over time, and The Flophouse, which was also a Lifetime Achievement Award winner. Jason, what are your nominations for favorite podcast of 2025?
Well, my Overcast tells me that the podcast I listened to the most this year is The Rest is History.
Yes.
And that's accurate because I love The Rest is History. It is the best. And then my other nominees are Connected, which I still listen to as well. It's a very nice podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to do a shout out to the Crash Course podcast, The Universe, which is it's like limited, like 9 episode series. It came out last year, but I found it this year, so it counts. Mm-hmm. It's Katie Mack, the astrophysicist, who has been on. She was on the Top Gun episode of The Incomparable, which was great because there's somebody who has a PhD in astrophysics in that movie, and there are people who fly planes, and Katie does both.
Oh, that's great.
Anyway, Katie, theoretical astrophysicist, wrote a book about the end of the universe, and she walks John Green through how the universe came to be and all the way it works and all the way into the far future and how it will end over the course of 9 episodes. And John Green comes from a place that I think listeners will appreciate because he comes not understanding a lot of this stuff and having Katie explain it to him and asking a bunch of questions and being upset by some of the facts that come out and then being encouraged by some of the facts that come out. So we're getting the Green brothers in the Upgradies this year. But Crash Course Pods, The Universe, really great podcast that I enjoyed this year as well. So those are my 3 that I picked.
My nominations, The Rest is History is number 1. The Rest is History is one of my favorite podcasts of all time at this point. I have actually started re-listening to episodes I listened to a year ago. I don't think I have ever done that to a podcast. Basically, one of my other favorite podcasts that I listen to every day is away for holiday break, so I have less stuff to listen to.
Yeah.
And I was looking for some comfort podcasting, like just things that, like, I didn't want news. I wanted, it's the holidays. So what I decided I'd listen to was Assassination of JFK. I was looking for some comfort, I guess.
Easy listening.
But it's incredible. So I listened to that. Then I listened to America in 68 again. Then I listened to Britain in 76, I think, is the series. And then I just listened to the assassination of Franz Ferdinand and the lead-in to
World War
War. And basically, I essentially ended up reminiscing on me of a year ago. I listened to all of these a year ago when I first discovered the show, and I've never done this before, like re-listen to, but like it's so re-listenable still, because now I'm listening to those shows, understanding a lot of the references I didn't get because I've now listened to a lot more of the history of the show.
I still have things in their archive that I want to listen to.
Me too.
I would pick out before, although I'm running out, but there are still ones that are in there.
I do too. This was purely
you just wanted to have the re-listen experience.
I wanted an easy thing to listen to
that you'd already heard.
And holidays.
Yeah, it's a great podcast. I mean, I've recommended it to so many people, and everybody seems to go, "Oh yeah." Actually, I get so many people who come back to me and say, "I can't believe it." And yes, it was Apple's podcast of the year, but it was our podcast of the year last year too. So we were there first.
Yep.
And it is great, and I highly recommend it. And I recommend, it's actually a little like the Flophouse, where I'll say, go in the archive and find a subject you're interested in. The one that hooked me was the American Revolution, because it was British historians talking about the American Revolution, and they had a totally different viewpoint than any American school child has ever heard. And I've been thinking about those episodes a lot while watching Ken Burns's The American Revolution documentary, and noting the way that it's framed, and that there are things in it that I'm like, aha, that is, the rest is history. He's made that same point. That sometimes it's Parliament and not the king. The king was an easy punching bag for Americans who wanted political support, but Parliament had a lot to say about it too. Really interesting podcast. Totally worth your time. Find a subject that interests you, and then dive deep, because those guys, Dominic and Tom, the hosts, are historians. They're great storytellers.
Yes.
And they do their relationship. Yeah, it's a very funny relationship, and they do a great job of, like, one of them takes the lead in doing the research for the episode, and then the other one kind of like chimes in, and it works. It's just very effective to get their perspective on this stuff. That's why the show works so well.
They just did a Jack the Ripper series, which was brilliant.
It's great.
Too.
It really is great.
Just a brilliant show. I also want to recommend. So I mentioned one of my favorite shows is off right now. It's the Kind of Funny Games Cast. This is a show. It's about video games, but I ostensibly just listen to this show every day. It's a daily show. Because I just love the relationship between the people. Like it's like a group of 11 guys, and it's like a rotating panel. And I just enjoy so much the ways in which they interact with each other, and so that I love it. It's up there as well. Like, these two are like my favorite podcasts, but the rest is history. It's just like a different level of the kind of show and what it is. I also want to recommend Waveform, which is MKBHD's podcast.
Yeah.
What I like about Waveform, it is a, ostensibly quote unquote new. It's been around for many years, but like a new-ish tech podcast, which is like the types of shows that we make. It's like people that enjoy each other's company talking about tech, and like that is just becoming a rarer and rarer thing in technology podcasting. And so I love that they do that, and they do a good job with it. And of course, Marquez has access to everything, so that really helps from a topic-based perspective. And then old favorite, The Town. I still love The Town. I listen all the time. I think it's a brilliant show, and has been really good the last few months of all of the wild stuff going on in the entertainment industry. The Upgradians voted for The Rest is History at 12.7% of the votes, Connected at 11.3% of the votes, and the little podcast that could, Upgrade,
at
10.6%.
We're going to win one of these years.
Someone put in brackets, like, come on, you've got to do it. And the answer is no, we will never do it. So, obviously, The Rest is History is the winner for the second time in a row.
Yes.
It is going to rocket itself into the Lifetime Achievement category, I'm sure. So look out for that next year. What are our runners-up?
Oh, boy. I want to put Crash Course Pods the Universe in there.
Yeah.
Get Katie and another green in there.
Yeah.
And then you want to pick one from your list?
Yes, I do, and I'm gonna pick the Kind of Funny Games cast because that's just a thing that's for me.
Great,
that one's for me.
Love it.
Paul Stephen Hackett. He had a writing campaign and everything. It was
not even nominated.
Connected got up to 11.3. No, Connected's up there, 11.3%.
Yeah, I know, but it's not one of the finalists.
Yes, it's not one of ours. Because you asked me what I want to put in there, and you know my rule. I'm not going to award anything that I do.
I know, and I wasn't going to push it because I wanted to put Crash Course Pods of the Universe in there instead. So there we are.
And there it is. This episode is brought to you by Fitbod. If you're looking to change your fitness level, getting started can be tough. This is the time of year when a lot of people think about this kind of stuff, right? You're thinking about the year that is ahead for you. Maybe you've indulged over the holiday period. You want to check out Fitbod. It is an easy and affordable way to build a fitness plan that is made for you because you're going to see great results when you have a fitness program that is tailored to suit you exactly. Fitbod makes sure that they understand your needs. They understand your body, your experience, your environment, and your goals, and they tailor a workout program to meet you. It will adapt as you improve, so every workout remains challenging, pushing you to make the progress that you want. Fitbod stores the information that it has about you in the Fitbod Gym profile. It tracks your muscle recovery, so you're avoiding burnout and keeping up your momentum. They build your best possible workout by combining AI and exercise science. Fitbod have analyzed billions of data points that are fine-tuned by certified personal trainers to make sure that your muscles are working together with your entire muscular system with the workouts that they're giving you, because overworking some muscles while underworking others can negatively impact your results. So Fitbod builds that best possible workout program for you. And when you're learning new movements, they're going to make sure that you're going to be able to do it easily. They have more than 1,000 demonstration videos in the app, which I love this feature. So when I find something new, because they're always recommending new stuff to me because of the way that they design a well-balanced workout routine, so it's mixing up the different types of workouts that you're doing. I want to know that this is an exercise that is new to me. I want to know how to do it and how to do it well, and these videos really, really help. The Fitbod app is really easy to use. You can stay informed with tracking charts, weekly reports, and sharing cards. It's to let you keep track of your achievements and personal bests and share them with your friends and family. It also integrates with your Apple Watch, Wear OS smartwatch, and apps like Strava, Fitbit, and Apple Health. Personalized training of this quality can be expensive. Fitbod is just $15.99 a month or $95.99 a year, but you can get 25% off your membership by going to fitbod.me/upgrade. So go now and get your customized fitness plan at fitbod.me/upgrade. Once again, fitbod.me/upgrade for 25% off your membership. Our thanks to Fitbod for their support of this show and Relay. Jason, what are your favorite Apple products of this year?
Oh boy, this is a tough one. I think Apple had a kind of low-key good year.
Yep.
Not super dramatic year, but a low-key good year. And a good example of that is the iPhone 17 Pro, which they redesigned. It has a color, and it's a really nice phone. A really good design. They fixed the biggest issue, I think, with the 16 Pro, which was the heat issues.
Yeah.
I have none of them. And again, I just want to emphasize they made a Pro phone in orange, which is incredible.
Yep.
And they did a great job. So from a distance, you'd be like, yeah, it's just another iPhone. I was like, yeah, but they really killed it. Also, the iPhone Air, which is I think an amazing product. I feel like it feels like the future. I know there are issues. People don't like the battery life. I think the screen, it makes it harder for me to hold it, but like I really do appreciate that larger screen in this thin and light device. And I using it makes it feel like I'm using future tech, which is one of the things I really love about technology, and it makes me excited for what is to come because they're flexing their muscles here in a way that they haven't before. And I think it's going to lead to interesting things next year as well.
Yeah.
The iPad Pro M5, I know it's just an update. I bought one this year. I hadn't bought an iPad Pro in a while, and so I bought the M5 iPad Pro. And it's like that M4, M5 iPad Pro generation is just so good. I have the I have the larger one, so it's the super thin one as well. And like, it's great out of a case. It's super thin and light. In a case, it's great. In a keyboard, it's great. It's got the multitasking. It's got everything. Like, it's just such a great example of that product. And then I'm going to throw out the MacBook Air M4 because, again, I just think the MacBook Air continues to kill it. It is an amazing product, an amazing value. And, having it be on the M4 processor and soon on the M5, like I think they keep doing a really great job there. And of course, this year, sky blue, a color that is taking the world by storm, if you can notice that it is not silver.
For me, it is the two main iPhones of the year, in my mind, at least the iPhone 17 Pro and the iPhone Air. I think that they are both great examples of what Apple does well. The iPhone 17 Pro is a really good incremental improvement of the iPhone Pro line. So the color is great. I love the design. The edge-to-edge plateau, the iconic plateau, but also the two-tone glass design. I really like that. I have also been really happy about the fact that there have been very few occasions where I felt my phone even get slightly warm since I've had it. This was a big problem for me with previous phones, getting too hot to touch when being charged, for example, or kind of like downloading apps. Like it was, or like every time I went into the lock screen customization, my phone would get too hot to hold. Like that's not right. Something bad's happening. Don't have that anymore. And then the iPhone Air is just an engineering marvel. Also with the Pro, the 17 Pro, actually, I really liked the advancements to the camera, both the selfie and the 4 and 8 times zoom, as well as the the whole camera system. I've been really impressed with this year. But the iPhone Air is really a fantastic device. It feels wonderful to use. They put way more high-powered technology in that device than we had necessarily expected they would, like ProMotion and stuff like that. They did a really, really good job with that phone, and it's a shame it hasn't done well for them. But I don't think that realistically feels like a problem. Essentially, like this phone is a kind of a development ground for different technologies in a way that the fourth phone spot wasn't before. The Mini, they were not developing anything new with the Mini. The same with the Plus. They were just like, here's things we can do, but it's not gonna proliferate across the line. But there are a bunch of technologies in the Air that we all expect at this point will come to other phones, whatever they might be in the future. The Upgradians voted for the iPhone 17 Pro at 25.9%, the AirPods Pro 3 at 15%, and the iPhone Air at 14.7%. AirPods Pro 3, I like those a lot, but I had such a negative first impression. I just couldn't imagine putting them even in as a nomination. So I guess which iPhone do we want to be the winner?
That's a good question. I think it's the 17 Pro. I think the fact that they did it's good execution, changed the design in a way that I really like. I really like the curved back and all of that, and then the orange on top of it.
Yeah,
I think that's the winner. And then I'd like to put the Air and I don't know what the third one should be. What do you think?
Maybe the iPad Pro. I mean, I have the M4 version and love it. And at least that is a more recent revision than the MacBook Air.
Sure.
As such. So iPhone 17 Pro is the winner, iPhone Air and iPad Pro M4 as runner-ups. Now we're moving to
M5, the new one.
M5.
Because it's one better.
M4, but it's M5.
It's M5. Better. It's one better. And then, one of the features of the Upgradies is that you get to see, back when I did the Eddie Awards for Mac User and Macworld, we would get in a room and we would argue this stuff, and then you just present the winners, and nobody is privy to the conversation, whereas our listeners get to hear the conversation that leads to the awards. That's the beauty of it. Beauty of the Upgradies.
It is beautiful. Favorite non-Apple product? What have you got for us, Jason?
A couple weeks ago, I haven't written about this or anything, or even talked about it. A couple weeks ago, when iRobot filed for bankruptcy and got taken over by a Chinese company that was its, owned its debt.
They were the manufacturer. They owned. The Chinese company manufactured the robots, and iRobot owned a ton of money.
Yeah, exactly. So they took it over. The story of iRobot is long. It includes the fact that they were prepped for sale to Amazon, and then regulators said, no, they're too dominant, and we can't allow Amazon to be dominant here, which ironically, by rejecting that, they basically killed that company. So much for it being dominant. They also, partially because of that, but in general, they resisted a bunch of innovation that was happening with Chinese robots, the robot vacuums that got way ahead of them. Anyway, over the holidays, I bought a Roborock vacuum for like $220. And I've only had it for a couple of weeks. It's not the fancy ones because there are a lot of $1,000 robot vacuums out there. This one was a couple $100. And it is superior to my old Roomba in every conceivable way, except that it, although it claims to have shortcut support, it doesn't work. So I guess that is bad because its shortcut support is bad or broken. Its Siri support is broken. But in every way, as a vacuum, it is superior. It's quieter. Its app is better. It shows you where the robot is. It's like, and I had that moment where I thought, oh, this is why iRobot is going out of business. Because although they have added some things lately in some of their newer revisions to try to catch up to the competition, this vacuum cleaner it's got like, I don't know whether it's got LiDAR and cameras or whatever, but like it knows where it is. It vacuums in a proper way. It's like, it's just night and day. So like anyway, I'm only a couple weeks in, but that's a pretty cool product. The Switch 2 is great. I haven't played it enough, but I have one and it's great and I love it. Combustion is a company that makes it's like a temperature probe for when you're cooking stuff. And you stick it in the stuff and it's wireless, and then you can look at it on your phone and it will predict when it's going to be ready based on the target temperature. It's really smart. And I use that a lot when I'm cooking. And I've enjoyed my Traeger pellet grill this year, where I've made a bunch of things using, wood pellets and, smoking meat, and it's been really nice. So those are some of my favorite Apple products for this year. Non-Apple products.
For me, it's an easy one. It's the Nintendo Switch 2. I was waiting for this device for years and years, and I think they did a really good job. They did not do a perfect job. I wanted an OLED screen, but I will have to wait for a revision for that. It's a very powerful piece of hardware that provides me with a much better gaming experience for my Nintendo games and others. And now, it is now my preferred system to play games on. It was the Steam Deck for a while, but I prefer the hardware of the Switch 2 to the Steam Deck. So really an excellent games console. The Upgradians voted for the Nintendo Switch 2 at 34.4%. The Bamboo Labs P2S 3D printer at 3.8%, and the Terminal e-ink display at 3.2%. There's a big drop-off from the Switch 2 to everything else.
Switch 2 is clearly the winner. We all mentioned it.
Obviously, yes.
Clearly the winner. Clearly.
Let's put your Roborock
vacuum robot vacuum. Yep.
I don't know what I'm going to do in the future. I have a Roomba that I really like, but who knows what's going to go on with that company going.
I'll tell you, it's really great. It's $200 or $220. That includes the cleaning dock. It's
wild.
I mean, yeah, I know, right? And there are so many that are $1,000 robots that are out there that I'm sure they're great and all that, but I was not going to take a flyer on a $1,000 robot vacuum. I just wasn't going to do it again. After having gone through 2 Roombas now, I was like, I'm gonna take a flyer on this thing that Wirecutter said was quiet and good and a good value, and yeah, it's a winner. I would love to put the Combustion.
You got it.
In there as a runner-up, because that is a
thermal probe.
It's good. It's really good. Their first generation it died on me, and they were like, yeah, we had a production problem. Here's a new one. It's like, great. And then now they've got a second generation one as well, and the app is really good. It'll do a live activity. It's really nice.
Jason, what is your worst gadget or most disappointing technology of the year?
Okay, my nominees are 1, the Sky Blue MacBook Air.
The same one that was nominated in.
Well, yeah, it didn't end up getting nominated, but I mentioned yes.
It was right. The MacBook Air M4, was that not the?
No, I think we went with the iPad, right?
Yeah, but you mentioned it was in your
I
nomination.
mentioned it, sure, but I knew it wasn't
for different
gonna win.
reasons. It's funny. It's funny.
So most disappointing tech. We have wanted Apple to embrace color. They finally did it in the iPad Pro. We really wanted them to embrace it in the MacBook Air. We thought that would be a perfect place for it. Could they do at least one color option that was not silver or midnight or starlight or or whatever? And the answer was yes. They did a color. They called it sky blue. And in their photography, it looks like a light, not super exciting, but a light blue MacBook Air. And then they sent me one, and I literally had to look at the box, the sticker on the box, to see if they had just sent me a silver one. And it said sky blue, and I couldn't see it. And in certain light, I could see, oh, it is a little bit blue. But I would say this is one of my greatest disappointments of the year, that Apple finally added a color to the MacBook Air, and it is the least fun color because you can barely even tell that it's there. And I hate it. It represents everything that's wrong with Apple's color decisions in a year where they got the iPhone Pro color right. So that was a big disappointment for me this year. I remember those moments of hearing about them doing a sky blue and then seeing the pictures and then getting it and realizing. I mean, when they said it, I remember getting the briefing. I literally got the briefing while I was on vacation in Hawaii. So I remember very clearly getting the briefing and then going down to the pool and writing an article about it. And I remember thinking at the time, is it really going to be sky blue or is it going to just look silver? And then I opened the box. I was like, oh, they sent me the silver one. I'm not going to be able to judge the sky blue. And then I looked at the box and thought, oh, this is the sky blue. Oh, no.
Oh, great.
Not surprising, but disappointing. I read a lot about e-readers, and so a few months ago, everybody was talking about this new cheap-ish e-reader that and they're like, it has MagSafe on the back, and it's little, and you can carry it with you, and it is the XTE Ink X4. So I bought one. And I'm going to write about it at some point, but I can't really decide how I'm going to do it because I don't want to beat up a product nobody's ever heard about, but I had so many people write me about this thing. And it's super disappointing. It's just not good. It's cheap, but like its EPUB rendering is bad. Its interface is terrible. I'm a known fan of physical buttons on an e-reader. This thing has too many buttons. It's got like it's got like an on-off button and an up and down button, and then on the front it's got two buttons, but they're actually rockers, so they're four buttons. It's like I don't know which one to press. And then the software on it is bad. A thing that I've learned in covering these Chinese e-readers, like the ones from books, right, is that over the years they've gotten much better at sort of like customizing Android to have it work the way you want it to work as an e-reader, and they've really advanced. I mean, they're taking a lot of like standard hardware off the shelf, but then they've really advanced in their knowledge of like how to get your Android customization to be an e-reader. And this thing is just, there's nothing. It's not. I think it's not even Android. It's just, it's bad. It's bad. And if it was cheap and you could stick it on the back of your iPhone or whatever, or just in your pocket, I would say, but it's worth it. But like the e-reading experience on it is so bad that I would never want to read anything on this thing. So, also the whole it fits on the back of your phone concept. Not the iPhone 17 Pro, it doesn't.
The iconic plateau became too iconic.
It fits sideways. It's the classic. It fits sideways, but that's
probably
about
fits
it.
good on the Air. I've got it. I'm sorry, I was laughing too much there. Not at you reading. I went to the product page for this thing, and they have like a product image, and the image is the e-reader, and it's got a bunch of phrases on it, and I'd just like to read them.
Yes, please.
Uncompromising, minimalism, brave, confidence, kind, lose yourself in the words, good night, unique, XTE Inc., independent, excellence resolute, reading at your fingertips, pure, let every word linger, do not go gentle into that good night.
Makes you think, doesn't it?
Why is that one on there?
Makes you think.
Do not go gentle into that good night.
So what I will also say is it doesn't have a light. So if you want to read it in a room that's not well lit, you have to like turn on a light or get a book light. So that's a real loser. I mean, I get it; it's cheap, but like without a light, an e-ink reader that doesn't light itself is a non-starter for me. And then the software is really bad. So yeah, it's just bad. Look. A little tiny e-reader is a great idea. The Books Palma is like a phone-sized e-reader, and it's not for everybody, but like that is, I think it's really interesting to get to the point where you can have a little teeny tiny e-ink device that you take with you, and it literally will just fit in your pocket, even if your pockets are tiny, or in a bag, and you can just like. I'm a big believer in e-readers as a standalone product. Like you don't need to have it on your phone. You can bring this little tiny thing and it's not distracting. That's all great. I would like to see more things like this thing, but this thing is not good. It's just not good. Just that it exists is not enough. It needs to be good, and it's not. So disappointing. And then my other example here is I kind of a concept piece, which is the cord cutting drama. It has gotten so hard to figure out what services you need, because everybody is fighting with everybody else now. So I'm going to give you an example, which is I have been a subscriber of Fubo and of YouTube TV. These are both streaming services that offer you essentially a cable subscription. And in the last year, both of them have had extended outages where they've been in a dispute with another company. So YouTube TV was in an extended dispute with ABC and ESPN, so Disney, over those channels. And Fubo is still in an extended dispute with NBC Universal over their channels.
Amazing. And
it means that you end up in a scenario where you can't watch stuff. And they try, so like YouTube TV basically said, we're going to give you $15 off for as long as this goes. And just go buy, go subscribe to ESPN over the top, and you'll get everything that you're missing. Yeah. And that was true. Although I don't think it got them everything that was on ABC stations. I don't think it did. I don't think you can watch, everything over the top on your ABC station. So it wasn't entirely accurate. And as I was on Fubo and the NBC stations went off, and again, the attitude now is that everything is everywhere, and that if you can't get it from us, you can get it from somewhere else. So Fubo was like, look, we're sorry. We're in a dispute with NBC. But here's the good news is you can get everything that NBC does on Peacock. So we're going to give you $15 off and just go sign up for Peacock. Except it's not true. It's not true because what NBC Universal does is withhold some of their content. Some of their content, like Premier League Soccer, there's one game that's on a cable channel that they don't even own anymore. It's USA Network. It's Versant. They spun it off, but it's still there. So one morning I come out, I want to watch the Arsenal game, and it's not on Fubo. And I think, oh, right, carriage dispute. So I go to Peacock, and it's not on Peacock. Why is it not on Peacock? Because they've decided, NBC Universal has decided for strategy reasons to put it on a cable channel that they don't even own anymore. And if it's on that cable channel, literally the only way you can watch it is by subscribing to either cable TV or to one of these $70, $80, $90 a month services, but not the wrong one because they're in a carriage dispute. I love
it. It's like it's not on Fubo, it's on Versant.
Okay. It's not. Yeah, it's on. So I actually canceled Fubo and went to YouTube TV because that was right. And the attitude of these companies is like, oh, just subscribe to whatever. And it's like, well, I'm not going to pay two $80 a month things to get different channels. Like that's not, only one is going to win. And if it's not you, it's going to be them until it's not them. And then maybe it'll be somebody else. But this is why I say cord cutting drama. Part of this is we're in this really weird situation now where a lot of stuff that used to only be on standard television is now on streaming, which is good. But there still exists a little bit of stuff that if you don't have a $70, $80, $90 a month package, whether it's from your cable company or it's from one of these over-the-top providers, you can't watch it because it's locked to cable, because in many cases it's this old strategy, which is, well, we need to give value. Like HBO Max has everything that's on TNT. And I believe the ESPN service has everything that's on ESPN and ABC, I think, at this point, for sports only. But like, I fell through the cracks with the Premier League on USA, which disappeared from my TV provider. And it's 2025. It is almost 2026. If you're going to do disputes like this, make the content available, in this case, on Peacock. I'm super offended by Fubo for saying, oh, just get Peacock, which is not true. And also by NBC Universal having a service that theoretically contains all of their sports content, except then they take pieces of their sports content and put it on cable TV and just say, sorry, even if you pay for our stuff, you can't get it. So at a time when we ought to be emerging from the fog of streaming service choices, we are actually worse off. Terrible. I hate it.
So my nomination in this category, I actually think is better discussed in a different category, so I'm going to hold it.
Okay.
I will refer back to it later on. The Upgradians voted 18.6% for AI, just in general. AI.
Yeah, sure.
Liquid Glass, 8.7%. So here's the other side of the coin from earlier on. And Apple Intelligence at 7.7%.
I want to talk about Apple Intelligence, and I'm saving that for a later category.
Yes.
Okay, so this is tough.
Yep.
This is tough. I was not disappointed in AI, because my feelings about AI over this last year haven't really changed that much, which is that it's overhyped, but there's still some value in it. But it's overhyped in lots of terrible ways that are bad. Which is not a great take, right? To say, well, it's 70% bad, but 30% good. It's like, okay, well, where does that leave us?
Yep.
I don't know what to do in this category, honestly. I mean, I think that fundamentally this is the year where Apple Intelligence disappointed everybody.
Yeah.
So
we should do it here.
I think I'm going to do it. I think it can win. This is the year where Apple came out and said, last year was the year of Apple Intelligence.
Yeah.
And then this year was the year where Apple came out and said that the stuff we promised you about Apple Intelligence, we can't do it.
Happening. Yeah.
And maybe it'll happen next year. In the coming year, phrase
they didn't say
designed...
Maybe. We say maybe.
Yeah, but in the coming year, a phrase designed to obfuscate what they were saying, which is that we've delayed this thing we promised in 2024 until 2026.
That year is still to come.
It's still to come. As of this recording, it is still the coming year. Oh, boy, imagine when it's the actual year. So I think Apple Intelligence as the winner of this category is fine. Yeah. I would really like to put the Sky Blue MacBook Air in as a nominee because I am super disappointed in it. And, I'd be okay with Liquid Glass, but I kind of want to go with cord-cutting drama, honestly.
I think we should put cord-cutting drama in there. I think that is... I like that more as a thing. It's more interesting to me personally.
Great.
Most life-changing hardware now.
All right, my nominees here are, again, the Roborock vacuum cleaner, the combustion probe thermometer, my M4 Max MacBook Pro I bought this year, and a second desk in a different part of my house with a Thunderbolt, one cable Thunderbolt connection to either desk in my house that I want to work on.
Well, that computer changed your life so much that you could come work here.
Truly life-changing hardware to be able to do that. I could have come and worked there too, but I was able to come and work there.
Easy though.
Well, except I didn't bring my laptop. That was the problem.
Oh,
I only brought my iPad.
Forget what I said.
I should have brought my laptop.
I was thinking in Memphis.
Better.
You had your laptop.
In Memphis, I did. I had my computer with me, my whole computer. That's when I travel on. I have my whole computer with me. I don't have to set it up and sync it up and update the apps or anything. It just is my computer wherever I go. I needed to do something this weekend, and I don't heat the office on the weekend. And I just walked in here into the cold garage and picked up my laptop and took it out into the warm living room. It was like my computer came with me. Imagine a computer you can take with you. What would we call it? Some sort of laptop. And then I also bought some Lutron shades for my bedroom. And it's early days yet, but those are also looking like it's life-changing. Because, again, the idea here is you want, especially in the summer, you want the shades closed when it's starting to get light and you want to be still sleeping. But when it's time for you to wake up, you do want to see the light from the outside and not oversleep. And the Lutron shades, I can set all that. I can automate that so that they're open during the daytime and then they close at night automatically. My old shades were basically, one of them was basically closed all the time, and they're translucent, so they let in light, but they that were in that, you couldn't see out, and they couldn't be blackout curtains either. And these are a little bit of both. I really like Lutron. We've talked about it before. I saw Neil A. Patel throwing shade at Lutron the other day, and I don't know what you're talking about, dude. This stuff is rock solid. I love it. It's the best smart home tech that exists.
I was confused about that too. I think what that person, because Lutron have this whole thing where you can control your entire house via a box that they sell.
Yeah, don't do that.
That's what he was throwing.
Don't do
shade
that.
At. Yeah, because the reason I know this is because when we were looking into Lutron here, it's basically the only way Lutron will work. They have to do the whole home install.
Oh,
thing,
no.
I'm just not wanting that.
No.
Not wanting that. So for me, the VTech RM7767 HD, which is the baby monitor that
it's amazing. I saw it. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's super good. I don't think they sell this model anymore. They're probably gonna update it or something. But there are a few things I like about this model. One, the screen is big. It is a 7-inch screen. I like that. I like that we have a big screen so we can see the baby. You can see it very clearly. The picture quality is very clear. We have it connected via radio. It has a Wi-Fi option too. Parents go ballistic when you mention Wi-Fi. There is just a feeling that if you have a Wi-Fi enabled baby monitor, that people will look at your baby.
Spies will look at your baby.
This is a prevalent thing. Realistically, what you need to make sure is that you have a Wi-Fi model that has some kind of video encryption, which basically they all do now, and that it is safe. Like you have good passwords or whatever. I'm sure that there was a story that this was happening, that some model was bad, but essentially we don't use the Wi-Fi, but I expect at some point we will, because then they have an app and you can watch from outside of the house, but we don't need to do that. In some bigger homes, the Wi-Fi can be helpful to extend the range, but we found the range on just the radio antenna to be excellent, and it has less latency. The Wi-Fi would have more latency, so we like it. So it's good, and it's one of these camera. It has, the camera has a bunch of sensors in it, like humidity and temperature, which is helpful, and also you can move the camera independently from the display. Right, you can move it tilt left, right, up, down. It's really cool. Additionally, having an iPad Mini mounted on a 12 South display arm thing in the nursery, super helpful. When the baby was really young and we were doing a lot of contact napping, it was good to be able to watch TV shows, but it's also, we use it as our white noise machine, so we play white noise from it, and we have easy access to all of our tracking apps as well, so super good. Baby, and more baby tech this year. Upgradians voted at 9.3% for the AirPods Pro 3, the Apple Watch at 4.2%, and the Nintendo Switch 2 at 3.3%. This feels like an incredibly difficult category, this one.
We're going to do the baby monitor as the winner.
Oh, it's baby year.
It's baby year. That's right.
Baby year.
Baby monitor's the winner. My M4 Max MacBook Pro is the runner-up. And let's put AirPods Pro 3 in this category.
Let's do it.
Because the Upgradians liked it, and I will agree, this is the year where, the 2 also has it, but we got live translation and hearing aid and stuff. They are a life-changing bit of hardware.
The noise cancellation is incredible.
And it's so much better.
Incredibly good. Changed my life in that I don't need to travel with AirPods Pro Max in my backpack anymore if I don't want to. So I'm excited about that. I've yet to deal with the whole thing of needing headphones to record, but that's a problem for future me. But amazing. Final 2 categories now, Jason Snell. We're getting close to the end of the 12th annual Upgradies. So I'm going to move into favorite tech story of the year.
I have a few. I feel like this is the year of people in over their heads a little bit.
Yeah.
And these are kind of like, they're tech, but they're also not. But I'm going to merge tech and entertainment and streaming together in one big amorphous blob.
That's this show, baby. That's what it's all about.
So my two favorite stories of the year were both by Elizabeth Lopatto at The Verge.
Yeah,
and these are good
bang a year, I think.
There's a real. These are trends, but like these stories are the ones that really were not afraid to throw elbows. And I like that. So one of them is called Larry Ellison's Big Dumb Gift to His Large Adult Son, which is a story about how Larry Ellison's kid, David Ellison, got money from his dad to buy Paramount, and now wants money from his dad to buy Warner Brothers and merge it with Paramount.
Yeah.
And, we talk about like, oh, Paramount wants to merge with Warner Brothers. But if you zoom out, and Elizabeth Lopatto's story does this, like Larry Ellison's one of the richest men in the world, and his son is like, Daddy, I want that thing. It'll be $40 billion. And if you're Larry Ellison, you're like, am I gonna throw another $40 billion at this kid? Maybe he likes the idea of controlling the media. I mean, who wouldn't? But also there's a dynamic of it that I enjoy. I mean, David Ellison is an adult and probably has things that you could say about him that are positive. But what I would say about it is it's very hard for me to get over the fact that it's a kid of a billionaire who wants to be a mogul and is pointing at Hollywood icons and big companies and saying, buy that for me, Daddy. Mm-hmm. And Elizabeth Lopatto's piece about their attempt to hostilely take over Warner Brothers Discovery and beat Netflix out, which itself is a huge story, right? Netflix buying Warner Brothers is a potentially huge story. But the fact that the kid of a billionaire who already bought one Hollywood studio and wants to buy another and merge them together for an amount of money that does not make any business sense. It just is like Paramount as an entity would never buy Warner Brothers. It doesn't make any sense. But because it's David Ellison and his dad has hundreds of billions of dollars, they could just do it. Even if it doesn't make a lick of sense, they'll do it. And not only will that have long-term ramifications, because then it'll never be worth it. And it will destroy a Hollywood studio, essentially. And the political dynamic of the fact that, David Ellison's tantrum when Warner Brothers Discovery chose the Netflix offer over his seems to have been in part the fact that, again, I think part of it was, but I said I wanted this to my daddy, and why are you not giving it to me? But my daddy gives a lot of money to Donald Trump, and we told you that we intimated that was good because we could make a deal. And then the report came out that like Ted Sarandos had been having dinner with Trump and stuff, and like and then Trump started complaining about things that CBS was doing that after David Ellison bought it. Like, I think he got played, and I think he exposed himself as a little bit of an amateur. But Daddy's got lots of money, so in the end, if Daddy wants to up his offer, Netflix will probably not match it, and then he can give his son another toy to play with. So anyway, I think that is a story of the year in general, and then Elizabeth Lopatto's story is kind of savage, and it's a banger, and I really liked it. But more generally, it's Netflix buying Hollywood studio, David Ellison buying Hollywood studios. I think that's a story of the year. And then the other angle on this story that preceded this, another banger from Elizabeth Lopatto, which is memo to Bari Weiss regarding CBS News, you're doomed. Which is
just good headlines, just really good headlines.
Yeah. So this is, and there's an alternate version that's like you're hitting the glass cliff. The point here is that David Ellison put Bari Weiss, an unqualified person whose qualifications are starting a Substack and being an opinion editor at the New York Times for a little while before quitting and using that to start her Substack, being the editor-in-chief of CBS News, speaking of people out of their depth, completely out of her depth. We've already seen with the 60 Minutes story how she completely blew it. Not that the editor-in-chief of CBS News shouldn't have opinions about 60 Minutes, but when she doesn't show up at the meetings and doesn't watch the video until the very end of the process, and then she gives her notes and they take her notes, and then they promoted the story and it's ready to go, and then she pulls it again for reasons that I would say journalistically are deeply dubious. Like, it's a great example, again, of somebody who is not qualified for their job. That happens sometimes, and is showing, as Elizabeth Lopato called it, showing that she's completely in over her head. Now, again, as with the purchase of Warner Brothers Discovery, money goes a long way. If the rich guys want her to be in charge of CBS News, regardless of how badly she screws it up, she will remain in charge of CBS News. But she's already in the process of making terrible decisions that expose the fact that she doesn't know what she's doing, because she is utterly unqualified to even be involved in journalism, quite frankly. Don't at me. I just look at her background. She got this job for one reason, and it's because she's a darling of the people who work in the White House, and that's the only reason she has the job. She has no qualifications for it, which is not me saying that CBS News is not maybe insular and delusional and thinks it's more valuable than it actually is in terms of business. I'm not actually saying that. I'm just saying that you put somebody in charge who doesn't know what they're doing and isn't that focused on it. And even the people who are friends of hers will say she's legendarily kind of like, the quote I saw this weekend was, she can't even keep her calendar. She's supposed to run a network. Okay. Anyway, those stories were both bangers, and I thought they were great. So those are the trends of the year for me in the tech world.
One of mine is the ongoing Apple succession story.
Yeah.
Which has been playing out for a lot of the year, but really kicked up a gear in October and November. So Mark Gurman wrote like a big piece in October, and then there was the Financial Times stuff in November, and then there was, the week of retirements. What was it like? What was our episode title? Like Everybody Left or something, like the week where everybody left or something like that. We called it. That has been just something that I've been really interested in. This is something that feels essentially unprecedented. It is something that is unprecedented in the years that I've been covering Apple, to see so much movement in the executive ranks, when just any movement in the executive ranks has been a big story in history, like in the time that we've been doing this show. And in the last month, there's been like 3 retirements, and there's been like 4 or 5 in total in this year. It's really a fascinating time. So that's been super interesting.
Yeah.
But for me, my absolute favorite story of the year is Something Rotten in the State of Cupertino, which Sean Gruber wrote in February or March, whenever it was, which was essentially the article that he wrote after getting the confirmation that Apple Intelligence was going to be delayed. This story was just fantastic writing all around from John, with big ramifications. It hit big and broke out of our world for sure. And I think the reverberations of that are going to be ringing out at least into 2026 and beyond. Like, John made a lot of claims. He had a lot of information. It all kind of lines up with what I expect was going on at Apple. And also was just a very good introspective piece about how we've come to trust Apple and the way that they demonstrate their products in a certain way. And now that has changed. And I think I expect for the next many years, Apple demoing things is going to just become more and more complicated, because now we just don't trust them in the way that we used to. Yeah, super fascinating, well-written story, big ramifications.
I think it doesn't come down to one story, but I think this is the biggest example of it. And you can see in how Apple handled 2025 that at WWDC, that they know how badly they screwed it up, right? And so I think from now on, for a while, Apple is going to have a policy where they're not going to announce anything unless they're confident that it will ship. Like, everything that they announced at WWDC 2025, I believe, has shipped now.
Yes.
Because they're not going to do this again. But John Gruber calling them on it, somebody who Apple is used to being someone who defends Apple and understands Apple, but like comes at it from Apple's perspective and is frequently the dissenter who says, you guys don't understand. Apple is doing this because of this. And John was like, nope. And he was like, I'm kicking myself because I should have seen it. And he went into detail. Did Apple retaliate by like not supplying executives to the talk show live at WWDC? And screening F1 opposite his time slot. I think we have no evidence, but I think it would be hard to imagine that
the
did
F1
not.
part, I'm not sure about, right? Like, I feel like I don't have an answer for that. I mean, potentially it could have just been bad timing, but not having any Apple executives at the talk show was absolute retaliation. Yeah. Absolutely, it was retaliation. Like, there's this is the year,
and you know what? That's
what a surprise.
You know what? That's how the game is played. You still got to say what you got to say, and let them do what they're going to do. And I would say that them doing that is probably stupid.
The episode of the talk show that he made this year was the best one in years. He had Nilay Patel and Joanna Stone.
Yeah.
And it was great. Like I thought it was a better episode of the talk show at WWDC than it would have been otherwise.
Of course, because the problem with Apple executives is that they are very good at staying on message. And that means you don't glean a whole lot unless they're willing to share something. And sometimes they are, and that can be interesting. But like, it's just a different thing. So it's fine. I mean, John did what he needed to do. I agree. I think that in our world, that was the biggest story of the year.
The Upgradians voted for Alan Dye leaving Apple at 24.1%, the AI arms race at 7.2%, and the announcement of the Steam Machine at 6.6%. Steam Machine thing I'm very excited about. We will talk about this, I think, on this show at some point next year, because I do think that there's just an interesting story about the state of technology when looking at this product. I think Alan Dye leaving Apple is a... what is the thing with like it's a recency bias thing. Like this was a big deal. It was not that big of a deal. Like it's not that big of a deal. Like that it is the most important story of the year or like the best thing that happened this year. Like I don't know. To me that just doesn't ring. But I feel like we've spoken about that to death. But I do think it's worthy of a runner-up. It was a really big story. I think maybe I'm going to put, as a runner-up, I'm going to put Alan Dye / Apple
you think
Succession.
So?
/ Apple Succession. I'm going to lump them together.
All right. I don't know. I think Apple Succession
it's part of that story, I think. I'm going to put Apple Succession first.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. And then why don't you put in, how about like movie studio consolidation?
Yeah.
As a runner-up?
Yeah.
That covers mine.
Yeah.
And we'll put Something is Rotten in the State of Cupertino as the winner.
I think it is rare in this category that an actual just article wins. It's happened before, but it's rare. But I do think that this is one of those times when absolutely just the article is the story of the year. Final category for the Upgradies this year is the favorite tech screw-up. What is your favorite tech screw-up of the year?
I have two.
Yep.
One is Apple gives up on personalized Siri until the coming year. The classic. I think the definitive. Yep. And I actually think that Johnny Ive and Sam Altman's super awkward video where they share a coffee in San Francisco and vaguely talk about how they're going to do cool stuff that is hardware but is OpenAI and whatever, and we're buddies and we're in San Francisco. That was one of my favorite things that I view as a screw up, because all it did was make me deeply suspicious of both of them and not believe anything they said.
I was very excited about this news when it happened because I just think that it is fascinating, interesting news. I now view the way that they announced this as a screw-up because I don't need to think this. They did not have a product at this point.
Nope.
And they may have a product now, well, then they should have announced it now.
Yeah.
They should not have... I mean, I know it's actually quite complicated. Like, how would they have announced this? Because they were actually acquiring the company and the people. But nevertheless, they shouldn't have made the big deal out of it that they did until later. But at the same time, if you're Sam Altman, of course he's going to make a big deal out of essentially buying Johnny Ive. But nevertheless, the way in which they did it, they shouldn't have done it. They should have just announced it without the video, right? And I think that would have been fine.
Yep.
But the video was too heavy-handed at a time when they didn't have something to show. So I'm looking forward to the product announcement in 2026 that they promised. So we'll see what happens there.
What I will say, the one thing I admire about that entire rollout is the purity of it, by which I mean it's 100% BS. So they didn't muddy it up with facts or reality or anything like that. It's just
Jason.
It's just egomaniacal fantasy, and I hate it.
Get in the way.
Yeah,
they get in the way.
Yeah.
Mine are Apple Intelligence being delayed again. I think that is just. It is one of the monumental screw-ups. Like,
yes,
it's one of the
Apple's biggest screw-ups ever.
Yeah. It is so high up there because the ramifications of this are massive and will be felt for years. Like, just they could not have bungled that more than they did. The other one for me is Apple, Epic, Judge Gonzalez-Rogers, the whole thing that resulted in Apple losing the ability to charge 30% on the in-app purchase stuff, being held in contempt, all that nonsense, where it was essentially Apple lost an appeal, which has resulted in still at this point, they can't, developers in the US can take third-party payments. They don't have to give Apple anything. This will change. Like, there is going to be a point where it is an amount of money.
That's part of the screw-up, right? Is that they agreed, the appeals court agreed with Judge Gonzalez-Rogers that Apple was in contempt, but did not agree with her remedy of banning Apple from ever charging anything, which means that there's going to have to be another process in that court again where Apple proposes a regime for charging that she deems fair, which is going to be another circus.
That is all she wanted. Like, this time in between, like, realistically, this is the punishment that she wanted. This is
their punishment. Because
they
didn't make a realistic attempt. They made this kind of bogus attempt to inflate it back up to right. They basically backdated it, right, because they wanted to reinflate it back up to 30% through means that they then claimed were facts, and so the circus continues. But that was a heck of a circus.
The Upgradians voted with Apple Intelligence at 11.6%. The AWS and Cloudflare outages at 7.9%. And Liquid Glass. Liquid Glass is all over the place.
It's every category.
7.9%. Right. The outages is an interesting one. I didn't think about that. Like,
sure.
I like that one.
We rely on stuff.
And they were real bad. This is Apple Intelligence delay has got to be number one, right?
Yeah. Apple Intelligence delay is number one, and then I think that the Epic Apple thing and Johnny and Sam are runners-up.
I absolutely agree. I'd already written Johnny Ive and Sam Altman as a nomination. So, we've done it. Yeah, we've done it for another year.
For better or worse, we did it.
But there are still some technical achievement awards that I would like to give out. You know, like there's always the secondary award show.
This is the credit rolling at the end of the year.
For audio editing, Jim Metzendorf. Video editing, Jamie Snell. Visual design, J.D. Davis. Music, Chris Breen. Audio design, new category for Lex Friedman.
Yay.
Record keeping, Zoe Knox. Production, Mike Hurley.
Oh.
For good takes, Jason Snell.
Okay.
And the award for the best listeners, the Upgradians.
To the Upgradians. Oh, what an upset. Oh, amazing. Amazing.
The rest is history. Finally loses.
Yeah.
To the Upgradians. Thank you so much for listening to this show this year. This is our last episode of the year, of course, because there's no more Mondays in 2025.
No more Mondays.
No more Mondays. I want to thank you all and wish you all the happiest of New Year's. I hope that you celebrate 2026's beginning in a way that is good for you. If you would like to send in your feedback, follow-up questions for the show, go to upgradefeedback.com. Thank you to everyone who supports us with a membership. You can go to getupgradeplus.com to sign up. We appreciate you. You can find this show on YouTube by searching for the Upgrade Podcast. If you do that for this episode, you'll see that Jason and I are wearing matching clothes.
And we got our Upgrade shirts.
You. Of course, thank you to our sponsors for this episode. That is Sentry, Ecamm, and Fitbod. But most of all, thank you for listening. We'll be back next time. Until then, say goodbye, Jason Snell.
Happy New Year, Mike Hurley. No hose. Ha ha.
No
ha ha ha. Happy New Year to all, and to all a good night.